Chapter 51. Seeing these people from the universe who came from nowhere coming straight towards them, everyone became alert. Only Vegeta had a look of disdain on his face, because he could feel that these universe people in front of him were nothing but trash. This is indeed the case. Beep beep. According to Lin Chen's combat power detector, the combat power of those universe people was all around 1000, and they were just some miscellaneous soldiers. But when these people rushed to Vegeta, they all knelt on the ground and shouted, "Greetings to King Vegeta." Vegeta said, "Who are you? What do you want? We've been looking for you, King Vegeta-kun." A voice that was somewhat familiar to Lin Chen sounded, and a Saiyan walked over from behind these universe people. It was Paragus from this world. "Are you Saiyan?" Vegeta sneered. "Yes. I'm Paragus." Paragus knelt on one knee in front of Vegeta. "King Vegeta-san, we have come here specially to welcome you to be the king of the new Vegeta planet." "New Vegeta star?" Vegeta was stunned. Paragus said, "Yes, this is a new planet I built. As the prince knows, after our Vegeta planet was destroyed by Frieza, I have always hoped to rebuild Vegeta planet and let the name of the strongest fighting nation Saiyan resound throughout the universe again. It's just that I am powerless to do this alone. It can only be achieved under your leadership." Snort. Vegeta listened but turned away, wanting to leave. Saiyan's reputation, to him, is all a thing of the past and he has no interest in it at all. Seeing this, Paragus had no choice but to take out his second card, King Vegeta. "Even if you are unwilling to rebuild the Saiyan Empire, don't you have any interest in dealing with the legendary Super Saiyan?" "The legendary Super Saiyan?" Vegeta paused. "Yes. Recently, a legendary Super Saiyan appeared in the southern galaxy. He possessed incredible power and destroyed countless planets. Recently, several planets near New Vegeta have been attacked by him. If this continues, the hard-built New Vegeta may be destroyed by him. Your Majesty, as the King of Saiyan, don't you want to deal with this riotous Saiyan? The legendary Super Saiyan? Interesting." Vegeta turned around. "Okay, I can go over and take a look." Seeing Vegeta walking towards the universe ship, Trunks immediately stepped forward and said, "Dad, don't listen to him. What legendary Super Saiyan? Aren't we Super Saiyan now?" "What?" Paragus was stunned. "Ha!" Trunks suddenly released his aura and directly transformed into the state of Super Saiyan. Lin Chen, who was standing nearby, took the opportunity to take a look at Trunks's fighting ability. Just now, Lin Chen had used the system to check the combat power of each of them, and knew that although they were two parallel time and space, everyone's combat power system seemed to be similar. Even someone as strong as Vegeta, his current normal combat power is only 1.5 million, which is about the same level as Lin Chen. This is the combat power that has reached the Cell era. It can be seen that Lin Chen's original speculation about the combat power was correct. The combat power in the real Dragon Ball world is not as exaggerated as in the original work, where characters in later generations often have hundreds of millions or even trillions of combat power. As strength increases, the increase in combat power will become slower and slower, just like the current Vegeta. After the battle with the androids, he still has the strength to kill the CELL2 form, and his normal combat power is only about 1.5 million. However, Lin Chen couldn't feel at ease yet. After all, in this world, the system cannot yet detect the power gained after transforming into a Super Saiyan. Lin Chen was afraid that the combat power increase of the Super Saiyan in this world would be different from that in his world. If that was the case, it would be bad. Fortunately, after seeing Trunks' combat effectiveness scanned by the system, Lin Chen has calmed down. 22 million. Trunks' normal combat power is 1.1 million, and a combat power of 22 million means that his combat power increase after transforming into a Super Saiyan is only 20 times, the same as in Lin Chen's world. So what? My dad and I can transform into Super Saiyan. So what's so scary about that legendary Super Saiyan you're talking about? Trunks said. Paragus looked at Trunks in shock, then at Vegeta, but he soon regained his composure. You are Prince Trunks who has King Vegeta's bloodline, right? Unfortunately, you do resemble the legendary Super Saiyan, but from what I know, you are still far from that legendary Super Saiyan. What? Oh. Vegeta smiled slightly and said, Paragus, what do you mean by that? Your Majesty Vegeta, the Super Saiyan that is wreaking havoc on the southern galaxy seems to be the super warrior that appears only once every 1,000 years in our Saiyan legend. He is the embodiment of destruction, knowing only to kill. I have heard the confessions of the survivors who were attacked by him. There is a difference between the appearance of that Saiyan and the transformation of the prince. The most important point is that the aura of the legendary Super Saiyan is yellow-green. Not the golden aura of the prince. Interesting. Paragus, go to New Vegeta right now. I want to see what the legendary Super Saiyan you mentioned is. After that, Vegeta didn't hesitate anymore and walked straight towards the universe spaceship. What is this legendary Super Saiyan? Could he be stronger than Cell? Now, he is the invincible Super Vegeta in the universe, and nothing can scare him. Dad. Trunks wanted to persuade him again, but was stopped by Paragus. Your Highness, why don't you come too? Trunks hesitated. At this time, Lin Chen also stood up. Trunks, let's go and take a look together. I am also interested in the legendary Super Saiyan. Mr. Lin Chen. Lin Chen. Paragus was surprised. You are a Saiyan too? Yes. Lin Chen folded his arms. I am a wandering Saiyan. I wonder if you welcome me. Of course. The new Saiyan kingdom welcomes every homeless Saiyan. Paragus said with a smile. Just like that, Lin Chen also followed Vegeta onto the spaceship. Trunks had to follow because he was worried about Vegeta. Also traveling with them were Master Roshi, who forced his way onto the spaceship due to being drunk and mad, as well as Son Gohan, Krillin and Oolong who were accidentally implicated by Master Roshi. Chapter 52. New Vegeta, located in the southern Milky Way. No one knew what alien technology Paragus's universe spacecraft used, but it only took 1 day to travel from Earth to here. On the spaceship, Paragus flattered Vegeta to the extreme. Master Roshi on the side couldn't help but say to Trunks, Trunks, this Paragus doesn't look like a good person, you better be careful. Yet. Trunks nodded. Meanwhile, Lin Chen sat in a corner, continuing to gather all kinds of information about the innocent son Gohan. Gohan, who is stronger, Vegeta or your father Goku? After Cell was destroyed, Uncle Vegeta has been wanting to compete with Dad, but Dad has been busy, so I don't know. Gohan frowned and tilted his head in thought. Probably, my dad is slightly stronger, right? Although Uncle Vegeta beat Cell. So, Goku's fighting ability should be higher than Vegeta's? Lin Chen began to get a little worried. As it stands, Vegeta can at least become a Super Saiyan 2nd level. Judging from his current normal combat power of 1.5 million, Vegeta's ultimate strength is probably stronger than Lin Chen. Goku may have even reached the level of a full-power Super Saiyan. In other words, he is even stronger than Vegeta. But even so, in the original plot they were still powerless against Broly. Can I deal with such a powerful enemy? Just as Lin Chen was confused, the voice of the system sounded in his mind again. Ding! Detecting the host's suspicion of himself, triggering the strongest choice. Choice 1, use strategy to defeat Broly and Paragus without bloodshed, without Broly becoming a legendary Super Saiyan. Reward, combat power plus 1 million. Choice 2, join forces with Goku and others to defeat Broly. Reward, combat power plus 3 million. Choice 3, defeat Broly alone. Reward, plus 5 million combat power. Pure combat power selection mission? Needless to say, Lin Chen naturally chose the one with the highest reward. System, I choose 3. Actually, option 1 is the easiest. Lin Chen had actually thought of the so-called method of winning without bloodshed. That is to immediately control Paragus and take the controller from him, and finally make sure Son Goku does not meet Broly. As long as you do these 3 things and wait a few days, a comet will hit the new Vegeta planet. Broly will not die, but he will be seriously injured, and Paragus and his gang will fall into hell with the comet, and the mission will be easily accomplished. As for option 2, it is similar to the original plot. At the beginning, Son Goku and the other 4 Super Saiyans plus Piccolo, after a fierce battle, were finally able to defeat Broly. Now with Lin Chen added, the winning rate should be even higher. However, whether it is option 1 or option 2, it is a cowardly choice for Lin Chen. Lin Chen is the king of Saiyan, a man who will challenge even gods in the future. If he gives in here, how will he have the courage to challenge gods in the future? Moreover, although he seems to be no match for Broly at the moment, Lin Chen knows that he still has a final killer move in his hand. Ding! The host has completed the selection, please complete the task as soon as possible. Wait, system, I want to confirm, does defeating Broly alone count as a round-robin battle? Or do I have to fight Broly alone the whole time? Lin Chen must make sure of this point, otherwise, when he is about to take action, Son Goku may suddenly intervene and throw a few punches, causing him to fail to complete the task. Reporting to the host, Broly has infinite power. The host can defeat him alone as long as he makes sure no one helps him. No matter how many people Broly fought with before, it will not affect the completion of the mission. Hearing this, Lin Chen felt relieved. The spacecraft then landed on New Vegeta. Looking around, I saw that the planet was in a state of disrepair, with tall buildings rising from the ruins. Many short green universe people are moving stones and building new high-rise buildings. But Lin Chen knew that these scenes were actually illusions created by Paragus in order to deceive Vegeta. As soon as they got off the spaceship, Paragus and his group headed to a distant palace. There, a motley group of villains from all over the galaxy shouted Vegeta's name and welcomed his arrival. Lin Chen also saw his target this time, Broly from this world, in the crowd. Compared with Broly from Lin Chen's world, Broly from this world looks even weaker, with a weak and frail look on his face, and a listless expression all the time. But Lin Chen knew that this was all a disguise. Beneath Broly's calm appearance lies a violent heart. Compared with Broly from Lin Chen's world, Broly from this world is full of pure evil without any kindness in his heart. Your Majesty Vegeta, he is my son Broly. I hope you can promote him in the future. Paragus said with a charming smile. Vegeta glanced at Broly, not paying much attention. Indeed, from Vegeta's perspective alone, Broly in front of him now has an aura that is not even as strong as Son Gohan. However, Lin Chen, using his own system, could see that Broly's normal combat power had actually reached 1.6 million, which was actually higher than both Lin Chen and Vegeta. But now Broly's power is being suppressed by the energy suppression device in the shape of a headband on his head, so Vegeta can't notice it and still thinks Broly is just a weakling. Hello, I'm Broly. Broly greeted politely. Vegeta nodded in response, and then wanted to continue walking into the palace. At this moment, a soldier nearby suddenly reported, "Report. The legendary Super Saiyan appeared on the Momakato planet." What? Vegeta stopped and said immediately, "Let's go now, I want to meet the legendary Super Saiyan." Broly, you follow me. The two men then walked out of the palace. Seeing this, Trunks wanted to give some advice, but Vegeta retorted, "If you're scared, don't come." Vegeta walked out of the palace with Broly. Just as they were about to head for the spaceship, Broly, who passed by Lin Chen, suddenly stopped. Broly. Paragus asked immediately when he saw that his son did not keep up with Vegeta, but he saw Broly staring at Lin Chen, and his expression gradually changed. Lin Chen realized the reason. It was Broly who sensed the super blood in his body. Two people with the same blood felt the same power in each other. The legendary Super Saiyan bloodline, as a special bloodline that only appears once in 1,000 years, is actually the true royal bloodline among Saiyans. There is only one king, and Broly, who has the blood of a king, naturally becomes hostile to Lin Chen instinctively. But Lin Chen was not to be outdone and stared at him expressionlessly. The scene fell into silence for a moment, and a vague aura continued to impact each other. Chapter 53. Lin Chen and Broly just stared at each other. There seemed to be a flash of lightning between the lines of sight. Broly's expression became more and more ugly, and there was even a hint of anger on his face. "Who are you?" Broly asked through gritted teeth. "My name is Lin Chen, you can also call me Lynx, I am a Saiyan." Lin Chen said. Lynx. The same power in the blood of the two people was pulling at each other. Broly's emotions were extremely easy to get out of control due to his super blood. Now that he felt the same blood as him, the competitive spirit in his heart suddenly exploded and he was about to lose control. Broly. Paragus noticed Broly's change and hurried over, a controller in his hand immediately lighting up. Broly. Calm down. As Paragus moved, the headband on Broly's forehead lit up. After a moment, Broly regained his composure and chased after Vegeta. When the universe spaceship took off, Trunks immediately ran over. "Mr. Lin Chen. That person just now seemed very dangerous." "Yes, I can feel an evil aura." Son Gohan also came over and said. "Is it okay for Vegeta to go out with him?" Krillin said, looking up at the universe spaceship that had disappeared. "Don't worry, Vegeta should be fine. Lin Chen said. From what happened just now, it seemed that Broly, apart from him, would only become uncontrollable after seeing Son Goku. Come to think of it, I really don't know what grudge this kid has with Son Goku. He was just disturbed by Son Goku's crying when he was a child, but he hated him for his whole life? Lin Chen couldn't help but feel a little fortunate that when the system gave him Fusion Super Bloodline, it also eliminated the side effects of the Super Bloodline. While this made his legendary Super Bloodline not as strong as the original version, at least he didn't have to worry about losing his mind as easily as Broly. After Vegeta and the others left, Krillin and the others suggested taking a tour around the planet. Lin Chen had nothing to do, so he followed them. On the new Vegeta planet, although the area around the palace looks prosperous, as long as you fly a certain distance away from the palace, you can see the dilapidated and abandoned universe city. What's going on here? Yet, why would we establish a Saiyan nation in a place like this? Krillin and Gohan were both very confused. Maybe Paragus never wanted to establish any Saiyan country. Lin Chen said. What? Trunks' eyes widened. There. At this moment, Krillin suddenly pointed to a construction site far away in the abandoned city. What is that place? It looks like a mine? No, it's an energy plant, right? It seems that the energy is pumped up from underground and transported to the palace. No wonder that's the only green area on the planet. On the construction site, you can also see many short universe people being enslaved under the supervision of Paragus's men. Lin Chen, who was familiar with the plot of Dragon Ball, knew that these universe people should be the indigenous people of the nearby Zymo star. They were captured by Paragus to build this new Vegeta planet. But in fact, everything here is just a scam, from the name of the new Vegeta planet to the prosperous palace, all just to allow Vegeta to stay on this planet for a few more days. Lin Chen raised his head and looked at the sky. At this time, it is still invisible to the naked eye, but in fact, in outer space, there is a comet approaching new Vegeta at high speed. In less than 2 days, the comet will hit the new Vegeta planet, and all Saiyans will die under the comet. And this is the real purpose of Broly's father Paragus. In fact, Paragus could have just let Broly kill Vegeta and the others, but he went to so much trouble because he was afraid of Broly's power and was afraid that Broly would lose control during the battle. Unfortunately, Paragus miscalculated in the end because he overlooked one person, that is Bardock's son, Kakarot. That is the influence of Son Goku on Broly. Just as Lin Chen was recalling the plot, Son Gohan could no longer bear the plight of the Zymo people below and couldn't help but help them. A group of trash with a combat power of only a few thousand are naturally no match for Son Gohan and his men. At this moment, Son Goku, who was tracking Broly's aura, also happened to instant transmission here. Dad. Hey? Gohan? Krillin? Why are you guys here? Hey? Why is there a Saiyan? Goku looked at Lin Chen strangely. Dad, his name is Lin Chen. He's a Saiyan from another world. Son Gohan said. Ah? Another world? After listening to Son Gohan's explanation, Son Goku easily accepted Lin Chen. Hello, Lin Chen. I feel like you are very strong. Is there a chance for us to compete together? Okay. Lin Chen said with a smile. Krillin and others beside him shook their heads. I'm sorry, Lin Chen, Goku is like this, he wants to compete with the masters when he sees them. It's alright. I also want to compete with a master. We'll talk about it when we have the chance. Is Mr. Son Goku tracking down the legendary Super Saiyan now? Hey? How did you know? Son Goku asked curiously. Because we are also here to find the legendary Super Saiyan. Son Gohan explained their situation. After listening to Son Gohan, Son Goku frowned. I came here to track the aura of the legendary Super Saiyan. Could that person be Paragus? Just as Son Goku finished speaking, Paragus' voice sounded nearby. You're here too, Kakarot. You are Paragus. When everyone turned around, they saw Paragus standing at the edge of the construction site with a group of soldiers. It seemed that he had brought people over to check out the situation because he heard someone was making trouble. Paragus looked at the familiar face in front of him and smiled. Yes, how about having dinner together? Kakarot, you are exactly like your father Bardock. Okay. Son Goku had no resistance at all when it came to eating. So, the group went to the palace and had a big meal. During this time, Son Goku also told everyone that the aura he felt was not Paragus. Just when everyone began to wonder if the legendary Super Saiyan was really another Saiyan they had never seen, Vegeta, who had been out looking for the whereabouts of the legendary Super Saiyan, came back. The already full crowd immediately went up to him, wanting to ask Vegeta if he had found the whereabouts of the legendary Super Saiyan. Yo Vegeta! Kakarot? Did you come here specifically for me to kill? You're still the same? I'm here to find the legendary Super Saiyan. Then you've come here for nothing. Because once the legendary Super Saiyan is discovered, I will be the one to kill him. Go back. With that, Vegeta left. Son Goku smiled and said, Vegeta is trying to be cool again. But at this moment, Son Goku suddenly froze, he turned his head, and immediately saw Broly leaving the universe spaceship with Vegeta. The destined enemies finally meet. Again. Chapter 54. Kakarot. Broly recognized Son Goku's appearance at first sight. In this world, Broly and Son Goku were born on the same day, and their incubators were placed next to each other. At that time, Son Goku was so scared that he started crying because he felt Broly's powerful fighting ability. As a result, his crying actually frightened Broly, and it left a huge shadow on Kakarot. Now seeing Son Goku appear in front of him, Broly's aura immediately expanded uncontrollably. This breath was filled with tremendous oppressive force, and everyone who could feel the breath at the scene immediately became alert. This aura, are you the legendary Super Saiyan I'm tracking? Son Goku immediately recognized Broly's aura. He was previously commissioned by King Kai to investigate the legendary Super Saiyan that was wreaking havoc in the southern galaxy. And the residual aura he felt on the most recently destroyed planet was exactly that of Broly in front of him. Not good. Paragus was shocked and immediately activated the controller, trying to calm Broly down. Vegeta hadn't gone far yet. If he was alarmed, his plan would be ruined. Broly. Calm down. Broly. Kakarot. The headband controller on Broly's forehead lit up, immediately and temporarily controlling the increase in Broly's chi. However, what puzzled Paragus was that although Broly's energy did not increase, it did not decrease either. What happened? It's terrible. Paragus suddenly sounded. During the day, Broly almost lost control when he saw Lin Chen, although he was quickly controlled by him with the controller. But I'm afraid that by that time, the controller will have reached its limit. Damn it! How could this happen at this time? Paragus! What are you doing? Vegeta, who had already left, finally sensed Broly's presence and hurriedly turned back. He looked at Broly, who was emitting a golden aura like a Super Saiyan, and was surprised. Paragus, what happened to Broly? Vegeta, Broly is the legendary Super Saiyan we are looking for. Son Goku yelled. What? King Vegeta, no, how can Broly be a Super Saiyan? He's just... Paragus was still trying to argue, but Trunks flew over and said, Dad, Mr. Son Goku is right. There's something wrong with this Paragus. He is lying to you. Everything on this planet is a lie. The cities over there are all in ruins. This man is full of lies. Dad, you must be careful. I. Paragus was at a loss for words, when suddenly, Broly, who had been suppressed by him, suddenly regained his breath. Kakarot. Broly's fighting power began to rise sharply like a volcanic eruption. His hair also turned purple-red. Mimic Super Saiyan. Lin Chen, who has the same blood as Broly, immediately recognized Broly's current changes. He also didn't expect that Paragus' controller would start to fail at this time. The plot seems to have undergone some unexpected changes due to the appearance of Lin Chen. The decisive battle, which was supposed to take place the next day, seemed to be brought forward. Bang! With a dull sound, the controller in Paragus' hand suddenly exploded. Seeing this, despair suddenly emerged. Paragus, who had been trying to hide it, finally gave up. Be damn it! Fine. Vegeta. You're an idiot, just as stupid as your father. Are you really lying to me? That's right. Paragus threw his hands and said, there is nothing worth staying on this shabby planet. Besides, this planet is about to be destroyed by a comet. My real goal is the Earth where you live now. I want to use it as the base of Broly and I's empire and rule the entire universe. As long as you and this planet are destroyed by the comet, there will be nothing standing in the way of Broly and I. Even though the plan has changed now, the result will still be the same as long as you die. Go ahead, Broly. Without Paragus' instructions, Broly was already walking towards Son Goku with heavy steps. Kakarot, Kakarot. Without the controller's suppression, Broly's aura continued to expand, and soon he completely transformed from a mimic Super Saiyan to a Super Saiyan. Although Broly's hair did not turn blonde but blue-green because the headband controller on his forehead was still working, the aura he exuded was undoubtedly that of a Super Saiyan. Lin Chen could even see that Broly's combat power at this time had reached 32 million. Far above oneself. However, this level of strength is not enough compared to Vegeta, who once killed Cell. The legendary Super Saiyan? Ridiculous. Vegeta snorted coldly and also transformed into a Super Saiyan, his combat power skyrocketing to 30 million. But Vegeta's transformation is not over yet, his arrogance is still rising. Suddenly, Vegeta's aura seemed to explode, and an extremely powerful energy rolled up a sharp whirlwind and blew on everyone's face. Alright. Let me see what the legendary Super Saiyan is capable of. Combat power 52.5 million. Lin Chen beside him clenched his fists, feeling a little envious. There is no doubt that Vegeta has now mastered the second stage of Super Saiyan transformation, and the combat power increase of the second stage is as high as 35 times. Although his normal combat power is not as good as his, Vegeta has surpassed Lin Chen by virtue of his transformation. No wonder Vegeta was still so confident after seeing Broly's transformation. Broly. Your opponent is me. Vegeta yelled, and in a flash, he was next to Broly and swept his leg across his neck. However, Broly seemed to feel nothing, and his body did not even sway, continuing to walk straight towards Son Goku. What? Vegeta was shocked. How come Broly seemed fine after being hit with all his strength? That guy, what's going on? On the other side, Son Goku looked serious. You're fine after being hit by Vegeta? In that case, come on. Kakarot. I'm not Kakarot, I'm Son Goku. Kakarot. Seeing that Broly didn't take him seriously at all, Vegeta flew into the sky, raised his hand and sent a ki blast at Broly, completely ignoring the fact that Son Goku was right next to him. Vegeta. Stop it, boom. Ki blast hit Broly accurately, causing the space to tremble, but the spreading energy shock wave blew everyone at the scene back. Ha ha ha, what legendary Super Saiyan! I am the legendary Super Saiyan. Vegeta laughed wildly and was about to turn his sights on Paragus, ready to deal with this guy who dared to play him around. His gaze suddenly focused and he turned to look at the center of the explosion. Broly stood there, completely unharmed. Chapter 55. Vegeta's attack just now created a deep hole in the ground. The spreading shock wave almost destroyed the nearby palace. Even Son Goku had to use instant transmission to temporarily escape to a distance. Lin Chen and the others who were further away also hit in the air. However, despite taking such a powerful blow head-on, Broly was completely unharmed, and his aura did not weaken at all. No, not to mention it's weakened, Broly's aura is actually increasing. How come? Vegeta's eyes widened as he felt the amazing power emanating from Broly. Dad! Everyone be careful! Sensing Broly's change, Son Goku also warned everyone loudly. Lin Chen couldn't help but sweat on his face. In his eyes, Broly's fighting ability actually began to improve again. 55.5 million. 60 million. 65 million. 70 million. As Broly's combat power increases, the sky trembles and the earth shakes. And Broly's face suddenly showed pain. Roar. Puff puff puff. At some point, countless flashes of lightning suddenly appeared in the sky. These lightning bolts penetrated the air, exploded in mid-air, and then shattered into countless lightning bolts, falling vertically from the sky and hitting the ground. Boom! All of a sudden, many of Paragus's soldiers who came rushing over after hearing the news were hit by the lightning and evaporated instantly. Careful! Son Goku yelled, blocking the incoming lightning for Gohan and the others. Lin Chen waved his hand vigorously and dispersed a ray of lightning. Son Goku glanced at Lin Chen. The sudden burst of aura from Lin Chen just now caught his attention. But soon, everyone's attention was attracted by Broly. At this time, the golden aura on Broly's body had changed, from the original golden color to a yellow-green aura. Vegeta thought of something Paragus said when they first met. The legendary Super Saiyan's aura is yellow-green. This guy is clearly already a Super Saiyan, is there any other transformation he can undergo? Vegeta's thoughts unfortunately came true. Carrot, carrot. Broly suddenly roared like a wild beast, and his muscles suddenly swelled. A cruel and tyrannical aura swept out, with him as the center. The next moment, Broly's pupils gradually lost their color. A yellow-green energy suddenly burst out. Soon, everyone at the scene felt a terrifying aura and a cold chill. Ha ha ha! You're dead. No one can save you. Broly is out of control now. He won't stop until the entire universe is destroyed. Seeing Broly complete his final transformation and finally become the legendary Super Saiyan, Paragus shouted in despair. Broly's long hair fluttered, and his pupil-less eyes revealed a bloodthirsty light. At this moment, his body had become extremely burly, like a demon. The legendary Super Saiyan. Under Broly's momentum, Vegeta involuntarily exited the Super Saiyan state, then fell to the ground. His legs went limp and he actually knelt on the ground gasping for breath. What's going on? Vegeta, do you feel that? Paragus crawled out of a pit and said with a sad smile, it seems that the pure Saiyan blood in you has sensed it. The legendary Super Saiyan, this is the blood of the true Saiyan royal family. In front of him, Saiyans will be suppressed involuntarily. Vegeta wanted to resist, but found that he couldn't do it at all. An unprecedented fear suddenly appeared in his heart. Vegeta had only experienced this kind of fear and despair when he faced Frieza, but he didn't expect it to appear again today. We will die. Vegeta wasn't the only one who thought this way. The same was true for Son Goku and Lin Chen, both of whom were also pure-blooded Saiyans, and they also felt the same feeling of almost blood suppression. So, is this the real legendary Super Saiyan? Lin Chen gritted his teeth and barely supported his body. He didn't expect that Broly's power would be so strong. Broly's current combat power has reached 80 million. The legendary Super Saiyan form's power increases 50 times. Instead of the 20 times increase of the ordinary Super Saiyan form in this world. Can I really defeat such an opponent by myself? Lin Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Kakarot. Broly stared at the face that he hated, with a cruel smile on his face, I will smash you to pieces. As soon as he finished speaking, Broly's feet moved suddenly, and while crushing the ground, he rushed directly towards Lin Chen. Dad! Son Gohan yelled and tried to help Son Goku, but was hugged by Son Goku. Run Gohan! Even the warlike Son Goku, due to the influence of his blood, realized the gap between himself and Broly. For a moment, he lost all fighting spirit and could only run away holding Gohan. Broly ran after them. Seeing this, Trunks shouted to Lin Chen and chased after him. Mr. Lin Chen, please take Mr. Krillin and the others to hide. Lin Chen nodded and pulled Krillin and the others away in the opposite direction of Broly. According to his original plan, Lin Chen would not interfere in the initial battle. Only when Son Goku and the others were defeated would Lin Chen take action. Otherwise, you will not be able to complete the task of option 3. However, can he really defeat Broly alone? In the distance, Son Goku and Gohan continued to avoid Broly's pursuit. Blue energy balls kept falling behind them, blasting the earth into pieces. Several times, Son Goku and Gohan were almost caught up, but fortunately he had the unique skill of instant transmission, which allowed him to escape every time in critical moments. However, after chasing for a while, Broly suddenly stopped. He laughed evilly, and suddenly a green energy ball condensed in his hand, and then threw it towards a nearby construction site. Along with the blue flash, countless screams rang out. The lives of countless Zymoxing slaves sleeping on the construction site disappeared in the flash of light. Ha ha ha! Kakarot, if you don't fight, I will destroy this planet. A hole! I won't let you succeed. Son Goku's eyes were about to burst as he and Gohan fell to the ground, then he growled and transformed into a Super Saiyan. Next to them, Son Gohan and Trunks also landed on the ground and transformed into Super Saiyan one after another. Faced with the astonishing aura emanating from the 3 Super Saiyans, Broly simply let out a cruel laugh, laughing loudly, and charged forward recklessly. Boom! A wave of air swept out instantly. Chapter 56. Boom boom boom. When Lin Chen took Klin and the others away, there were continuous thunder-like explosions in the distant sky. Mr. Lin Chen, are Goku and the others okay? Krillin asked while carrying Master Roshi on his back. I don't know either. That Broly is indeed very scary. Lin Chen said. Then won't you go to help? You are also Saiyan, right, said Wulong who was hugged by Lin Chen. I will go, but before that, you must board the universe ship and leave. Because this planet is about to be destroyed. When Lin Chen told Clin and the others that a comet was approaching, they were all shocked. What? What about Goku and the others? Idiot, doesn't Goku know instant transmission? We are the ones who should be worried the most, run away. As soon as they landed, several people quickly ran towards Paragus' universe spaceship. Just at this time, Lin Chen also saw Paragus, who was also fleeing towards the universe ship. You guys go first, I'll go stop that Saiyan. Lin Chen dodged and came in front of Paragus. Seeing Lin Chen, Paragus stopped immediately. If you want to escape with me, follow me. Otherwise, get out of my way. Aren't you going to stay and accompany your son? Lin Chen said. Humph. Broly is no longer under my control. He will only get in my way now. Lin Chen sighed and shook his head. Paragus, you in this world have indeed been forced too much by reality. Let me free you. What? Paragus was stunned for a moment, then immediately realized what Lin Chen meant. He immediately released his aura and was about to attack Lin Chen when a hand was placed on his chest. Paragus, you are a pitiful man. I feel sorry for what happened to you in this life. But don't worry, you are living well in the other world. What are you talking about? Call out. A crystal clear white-blue beam of light pierced Paragus' heart. This man, who had been in pain almost all his life and had become extremely selfish due to external factors, died in Lin Chen's hands. In fact, dying at the hands of Lin Chen was a lucky thing for Paragus. Because if Lin Chen had not taken action, Paragus' final fate would have been to be crushed to death by his own son Broly in the universe spaceship, and then thrown into a comet and died. Seeing Paragus die in Lin Chen's hands, Clin and the others didn't say anything, but they didn't feel any sympathy for him either. After all, if it weren't for Paragus' manipulation, so many people in the southern galaxy wouldn't have died at Broly's hands. This guy's hands are stained with blood debts that are no less than Frieza's. After returning to Krillin and the others, Lin Chen immediately rushed into the universe ship and dealt with all of Paragus' subordinates. Then he walked out and said to Krillin, Mr. Krillin, this ship is in your hands. Leave as soon as possible. I'll go see Mr. Goku. Okay. Krillin nodded, and then his eyes suddenly focused and looked in the direction where Son Goku and the others were fighting. Over there, Goku and the others' auras were rapidly weakening. Oh no! Something seems to have happened to Goku and the others. Clin turned around and said to Lin Chen, Mr. Lin Chen, I'm leaving it to you. I'm just an earthling. I can't get involved in a battle like this now. I understand, leave it to me. Lin Chen nodded and said goodbye, then flew towards the battlefield. Halfway through the journey, Lin Chen felt that the breath of Son Goku and the others was getting weaker and weaker, and several of them seemed to be dying. But just when Lin Chen was about to speed up, another strange aura suddenly broke into the scene. Is this energy Piccolo? Sure enough, when Lin Chen arrived at the abandoned city that had turned into a battlefield, he saw Piccolo feeding senzu beans to Goku and the others. After being resurrected, 4 Z warriors surrounded Broly, and Lin Chen just happened to enter the scene at this time. Broly glanced at him and said with disdain, it doesn't matter how many people come. In my eyes, they are all garbage. Saiyan? Goku, who is he? Piccolo asked. He is Lin Chen, a wandering Saiyan. Goku said, and then asked, Mr. Lin Chen, can you help us? This guy is so powerful. Sorry, I don't like working with people. If you all lose, I will take action. Because of the mission selection, Lin Chen could only answer this way. Goku felt a little regretful when he heard this, but Piccolo didn't know Lin Chen's depth and didn't care. After all, what they are facing now is a monster they have never encountered before. If Lin Chen is not strong enough, he will only be a hindrance if he comes here. Son Goku! Stop talking nonsense, let's go together as 4 of us. Piccolo shouted. Good. Ha ha ha, if you just accept your death obediently, you won't suffer so much. Why don't you understand? The legendary Super Saiyan bloodline will gradually make people lose their minds as the energy continues to rise. But Broly's energy had been suppressed by Paragus in the past, so at this moment, he has not completely lost his mind. Although the furious Broly is fearless and courageous, the rational Broly is actually more despairing. After relying on senzu beans to restore their strength, Son Goku and his 3 companions began their siege again. The combat power of the 3 Super Saiyans are all over 20 million, and this Piccolo should be the Piccolo after the fusion with the god, and his combat power is also over 30 million. However, the four people's siege was unable to even injure Broly. What makes people even more desperate is Broly's seemingly endless physical strength. The Super Saiyan transformation is actually a transformation that can only be used for short-term combat. The higher the level of the transformation, the greater the load on the body. Therefore, Super Saiyan is not suitable for protracted battles. However, Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form doesn't seem to have this problem at all. From the beginning of the battle to now, Son Goku and his companions have eaten a senzu bean, and have gained new reinforcements in the form of Piccolo and Vegeta, who has finally cheered up and regained his fighting spirit. 4 Super Saiyans, plus a Super Namek, couldn't reduce Broly's aura in the slightest. Boom! Ugh! With a muffled groan, Vegeta was pressed into a huge rock by Broly's palm. A crater appeared on the surface of the boulder, as if it had been hit by a huge meteorite, and countless wide cracks spread out, gradually covering the entire boulder. Vegeta was pinned to the center of the pit, and Broly grabbed his head and hit it a few times before he lost consciousness and came out of his Super Saiyan state. Vegeta's fall also meant the end of the battle. Except for Lin Chen, who was watching the battle, no one else was left standing. Is that all? Humph! Garbage is still garbage after all. Broly loosened his grip and let Vegeta fall to the ground, then he started screaming as if to show off his strength. Amidst the wild screams, Broly's entire body suddenly emitted a golden aura, like a blazing golden flame, extremely flamboyant. But at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Broly. Broly, celebrate your victory a little later. Don't forget, I'm here for you. Chapter 57. The figure that appeared in front of Broly was none other than Lin Chen. However, when he saw that it was him, Broly showed a hint of disdain on his face. Where does the garbage come from? Lin Chen did not say anything, but responded by directly transforming into a Super Saiyan. When his surging aura emerged, Son Goku and others, who were no longer able to fight, raised their heads. Lin Chen? It turns out he can also become a Super Saiyan. Son Goku said in surprise. Mr. Lin Chen. Hope emerged in Trunks' heart. This, idiot, why didn't you help me just now? Piccolo looked angry. As for Vegeta, he raised his head with force, took a look, and then closed his eyes weakly. It's useless, we will all die. Broly didn't panic when he saw Lin Chen's transformation. He just showed a cruel smile, pointed a finger at him and said, even if you can transform, trash is still trash. You'll soon find out whether it's garbage or not. Lin Chen's body disappeared in an instant, and the next moment, he appeared next to Broly. Lin Chen exerted force on his legs and kicked Broly in the chest. The violent force created a shock wave and a sound of breaking through the air, which was terrifying. But when the kick came, Broly didn't even take a defensive posture, and directly used his chest to meet Lin Chen's attack. Did you use more force? Broly said with a crazy smile. Lin Chen's expression changed, he turned around, and punched Broly continuously. He used all his strength in every punch. If these punches hit the planet, they might even directly shatter the core of the planet under the mantle. Now when the fists landed on Broly, there was still a loud bang, and every sound caused vibrations in the air. Are you done? Suddenly, Broly made a disdainful sound. Lin Chen's face changed drastically in an instant, his attack stopped abruptly, and he retreated quickly. Almost at the same time, a green energy ball suddenly condensed on Broly's palm. Explosive bombardment. Broly waved his hand, and a green energy ball flew towards Lin Chen. This green energy ball also has a tracking property. Even if Lin Chen jumped into the sky to escape, it was too late. He could only protect himself with his arms and take the hit. Boom! An explosion was heard and smoke filled the air. Humph, dead? Hey! Broly was stunned for a moment, and then he saw a green light appear in the smoke. Explosive bombardment. A Saiyan energy ball that was almost identical to the one Broly had just cast flew out of the smoke and slammed into Broly. But unlike Lin Chen, Broly just waved his hand lightly, causing the energy ball to bounce directly away and then explode above his head. Your moves are not that difficult to learn. Lin Chen appeared from the smoke and smiled at Broly. Hee hee ha ha ha, what about this move? Broly suddenly laughed, his hand flashed with light, and another green energy ball was thrown out, and the small energy ball attacked quickly. Lin Chen knew that he couldn't avoid this attack, so he raised his arms again to prepare to resist. But at this moment, the system's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! The talent of the primary martial arts genius is activated, and the move Massive Meteor is learned. Massive Meteors? Damn! Lin Chen immediately relaxed his defense and clasped his hands together. At the same time, the small energy ball in the distance suddenly grew larger, and its diameter expanded to tens of meters. If the energy of this blow hits the ground, it would probably directly destroy the planet. Just before Lin Chen was about to be swallowed by the energy ball, his figure suddenly flashed, and when he appeared again, he was already behind Broly. Kamehameha! The azure light penetrated the air, and terrible energy surged out, directly engulfing Broly's body. What? He also knows Kamehameha. Wasn't that Son Goku's instant transmission just now? Who is that Saiyan? Son Goku and the others were all surprised when they saw the moves Lin Chen performed. They were already surprised that Lin Chen could become a Super Saiyan, but they didn't expect that he could even perform Son Goku's moves. No wonder he wants to fight alone. Mr. Lin Chen is so strong. Trunks said excitedly. But Vegeta gritted his teeth and said, "No, it's no use. It's too far away." Vegeta was not wrong. Broly took Lin Chen's instant Kamehameha head-on. He suddenly turned around in Ki Blast and gave Lin Chen an evil smile. "What are you doing?" As soon as he finished speaking, Broly rushed towards Lin Chen's Kamehameha as if he was crossing a river. What? Bang! Broly punched Lin Chen in the face. The overbearing fist force turned into a transparent shock wave, which sent Lin Chen flying like a cannonball, and finally with a loud bang, he crashed into a tall building. Rumble! The tall building could not bear the weight and collapsed. In the smoke and dust, Lin Chen flew out, gasping for breath. With a gurgle, he swallowed all the remaining magic beans in his mouth. If Lin Chen didn't have the senzu beans from that punch just now, he would probably have lost his combat effectiveness like Son Goku and the others. Ha ha ha, it seems you're more durable than them. Let's play for a while then. With a wild roar, Broly rushed towards Lin Chen, and Lin Chen also gathered his strength. Two dazzling flashes streaked across the sky that was gradually becoming brighter, then collided with each other, causing a violent noise. Bang! 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 From time to time, loud roars erupted in the sky, which was the sound of two people's fists colliding head-on. Under the collision of these two astonishing forces, the new Vegeta planet could not help but begin to shake violently. The violent energy caused earthquakes all over the planet, and mountains and rocks collapsed. Not far away, Goku and his 5 companions gathered together and could only stare at Lin Chen, who was fighting Broly alone. Their injuries were too severe, and they had just recovered some energy with great difficulty, but they were still a long way from regaining their fighting strength. No, even though Lin Chen is very strong, he is no match for Broly. Although they were far away, the people at the scene were not ordinary people. Even if they could not see the battle in the distance, they could clearly know the battle situation through the perception of chi. In front of Broly, Lin Chen's energy was constantly weakening, while Broly's energy was not only weakening, but was still rising. It is clear who will win and who will lose in the end of this battle. Piccolo, do you have any more senzu beans? We want to go over and help, said Son Goku. Piccolo shook his head. The senzu beans we had just now are all gone. At this time, Gohan discovered something unusual. Dad, why is Mr. Lin Chen's breath so high and low? It's so strange. Upon hearing this, the others looked into the distance and found that the situation was just as Gohan said. Lin Chen, who was fighting with Broly, would drop to the bottom of his aura from time to time, but in the blink of an eye, his aura would rise again. Chapter 58. It's senzu beans. That Saiyan has senzu beans. The Namek people have superior vision and hearing, so Piccolo, who was watching the battle, was the first to discover Lin Chen's secret. Previously, none of the 5 of them were a match for Broly, so it was naturally impossible for Lin Chen to hold out for that long alone. But fortunately, for this battle, Lin Chen specially took a lot of senzu beans from Karan-sama in his own world just in case. Even though the number of senzu beans seems to be small in the original book, there are actually at least a dozen jars of senzu beans in Karan Tower. The reason why there were not many senzu beans later on was because there was a freeloader named Yajirobe in Kalan Tower who ate the beans as if they were his meal, which greatly reduced the number of senzu beans. Now in Lin Chen's world, Yajirobe has not yet arrived in Karan Tower, and Karan-sama has reached a cooperation with Lin Chen and expanded the cultivation of senzu beans, so Lin Chen alone has at least a few hundred senzu beans prepared. Ah? Lin Chen actually has senzu beans? Why doesn't he give us some? Son Goku asked puzzled. Gohan thought for a moment and said, Dad, Mr. Lin Chen is not trying to use senzu beans to increase his combat power, right? Improve combat effectiveness? Ah! I forgot there was such a method. Every time a Saiyan is resurrected from near death, his combat power will be greatly improved. Son Goku and Vegeta have relied on this feature to rapidly improve their strength several times in the past. But Vegeta said disdainfully, stupid. That's only for ordinary Saiyans. Our bodies have been tempered by thousands of times. This method won't increase our strength much. If Lin Chen were here, he would definitely give a thumbs up to Vegeta's words. From the beginning of the battle to now, he has been nearly killed by Broly several times, and has eaten more than a dozen senzu beans, but the increased combat power is almost negligible. Even after being amplified by the Super Saiyan combat power, it is only a few 100,000, which can be ignored. However, Lin Chen only found out about this today. After all, in the original world, Lin Chen had never been so close to death since Fusion's legendary Super Saiyan bloodline. Whoosh! A ray of light suddenly streaked across the horizon, creating a huge chasm 100 meters wide. Immediately afterwards, a ball of energy suddenly expanded and exploded, creating a large pit with a diameter of 1 kilometer. The huge energy ball stagnated for a long time before slowly dissipating. But just as the ball of light began to dissipate, Broly heard a voice. Turtle. School. Chi. Gong. The next moment, Lin Chen suddenly appeared in front of Broly again and pushed the shock wave out with both hands. The thick beam of light directly engulfed Broly. But when the beam of light dissipated, Broly tilted his head and looked at Lin Chen with a sneer, didn't I say it was useless? Death Beam. Lin Chen put his two fingers together and began to use Frieza's special move. Golden beams of energy intertwined together to form an impenetrable net, covering Broly like a net from heaven and earth. Each energy ray contains terrifying power, and if you are not careful, it will penetrate the flesh. But when these rays hit Broly, not only could they not penetrate his flesh, they couldn't even break his skin. Before the beams of light hit Broly, they were blocked by a golden-green light shield. Protective shield. Lin Chen's pupils shrank suddenly, and the corners of his mouth felt a little bitter. What about this move? Planet Destroyer Bomb. What? In the distance, Son Goku and the others were shocked when they saw Lin Chen pointing his finger toward the sky and a purple energy ball condensed out. Everyone present is familiar with whose unique move this is. How does he know Frieza's moves? Never mind that, Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, Trunks. Catch me. Frieza's planet-destroying bomb, as the name suggests, can easily destroy a planet. It is too late to take the universe spaceship now. Son Goku can only find a way to capture everyone and then use instant transmission to leave. Don't touch me, Kakarot. I won't accept your help. Vegeta however stretched out his hand and slapped Son Goku away. Dad. Vegeta. Just when the scene was in chaos, Lin Chen's planet-destroying bomb was finally thrown at Broly. Lin Chen showed no mercy this time. Even if the planet was destroyed, he could still survive in the universe. As for Son Goku and the others, the worst that could happen was that he could find the Namek Dragon Ball of this universe to revive them. In short, facing a strong enemy like Broly, there must be no hesitation. Seeing the planet-destroying bomb thrown by Lin Chen, Broly smiled cruelly and actually wanted to reach out and slap it away. Bang! But when Broly's body touched the planet-destroying bomb, his expression suddenly changed. Frieza's Planet Destroyer is a move that focuses all of his energy on one point. Therefore, this move contained almost all of Lin Chen's strength. Even Broly was caught off guard and could hardly hold on for a moment. The planet-destroying bomb that could destroy a planet was directly pressing on him. Under this amazing force, Broly flew backwards like an arrow from a bow and fell to the ground. Boom! Broly was easily pressed into the ground, and then continued to move forward, burying him deeper and deeper. Broly, who was flying backwards, finally showed an unprecedented anger on his face. Before this, he had never suffered such a big loss. A hole. Suddenly, Broly's falling figure stopped abruptly, and then he pushed his body forward and pushed his palms, actually pushing the Stardust Destroyer bomb into the sky. Call out! The Stardust Destroyer bomb was like a rocket taking off. It suddenly broke through the ground, then continued to move upwards, and finally broke through the atmosphere. A moment later, it seemed as if there was suddenly another sun in the sky. The bright and dazzling light hurt everyone's eyes, and the deafening sound spread in all directions, almost making people deaf. After a while, the smoke dissipated and the storm subsided. Lin Chen looked at the ground, his pupils suddenly shrank, and cold sweat unconsciously seeped out of his forehead. Broly was seen slowly flying out of the pit, breathing heavily. There were still no visible wounds on his body, and his aura had not weakened at all. It was even stronger than before. His combat power was 5 million more than at the beginning. Damn, it seems I was too arrogant this time. At this moment, Lin Chen couldn't help but regret his previous choice. If he had known that the legendary Super Saiyan was so unstoppable, he should have directly chosen the mission that could be accomplished without bloodshed when choosing the mission. Will I also shoot myself in the foot? Lin Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Chapter 59. Just when Lin Chen fell into despair, Broly floated up with his body hanging down, emitting yellow-green aura all over his body, and came in front of Lin Chen. He looked at Lin Chen with cold light flashing in his eyes and a low roar came from his throat. My anger is so strong. I'm about to explode. Roar. Kill. 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 Suddenly, Broly's body froze, and then he clenched his fists and roared loudly. A large amount of energy began to gather around Broly, and an energy ball filled with super high energy completely enveloped Broly. A few seconds later. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A large amount of blue energy balls gushed out of Broly's body. For a moment, violent explosions occurred everywhere. Even Son Goku and others who were watching the battle from a distance were almost caught in. Fortunately, Son Goku used instant transmission in time and brought everyone to a safe area. But other places on the planet were not so lucky. The miscellaneous soldiers who had managed to escape earlier, as well as the slaves from Zymo Star who had not boarded the Universe spacecraft, were all engulfed by the green energy bombs. Lin Chen, who was closest to Broly, was bombarded by intensive rain of bullets. He had already consumed most of his strength in the previous move, and under this intensive bombardment, his defense was completely lost, and he was knocked to the ground. He couldn't even maintain his Super Saiyan form, and his hair turned black. Damn it! Lin Chen immediately used his remaining strength to take out the senzu bean from the system space. Just as he was about to put it into his mouth, he saw Broly suddenly appear above his head. You rely on that bean to restore your strength, right? Broly's mouth twitched, and his figure fell rapidly. Boom! His legs stepped heavily on Lin Chen's wrist holding the senzu bean. Ah! Lin Chen's right hand bones were shattered instantly. Broly sneered, jumped up, and fell heavily again. This time, he stepped directly on Lin Chen's stomach. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out. Hateful! The unprecedented pain made Lin Chen extremely angry. Why hasn't it healed yet? I'm already in this state, why can't I transform into the legendary Super Saiyan? Danger is opportunity. Lin Chen decided to fight Broly alone, not to seek his own death. His last resort is the legendary Super Saiyan blood flowing in his body. The legendary Super Saiyan bloodline, in addition to allowing him to transform into the legendary Super Saiyan form and his combat power to increase with age, also has an extremely special ability. That is the legendary Super Saiyan, who becomes stronger when facing a stronger opponent. Lin Chen's idea is to force himself to awaken and become the legendary Super Saiyan by challenging Broly. However, it now seems that Lin Chen's hopes are going to be dashed. Repeated serious injuries have not allowed him to become the legendary Super Saiyan. Boom! Under the heavy pressure again, the ground behind Lin Chen could hardly bear it anymore. Lin Chen's body was completely shattered to the bone, and his breath was barely detectable. But at this moment, Lin Chen suddenly felt that billions of cells in his body began to tremble wildly against the trend. Groups of golden energy spread throughout his body, and were suddenly absorbed and exhausted by countless cells, and then exploded again. Oh no, Lin Chen is dying. Everyone, give me your energy. Give me the power to defeat Broly. Seeing that Lin Chen seemed unable to hold on any longer, Son Goku barely stood up, ready to make one last effort. But at this moment, an astonishing breath suddenly rose from the ground. This energy! Son Goku was stunned. How is that possible? Piccolo was shocked. It's Mr. Lin Chen's. But why? Trunks was puzzled. Vegeta, on the other hand, was shaking all over and gritting his teeth. How is this possible? Aren't there only one Super Saiyan in 1,000 years? Why did that guy also? In the distance, there were lightning and thunder. Lin Chen, who should have been shattered to pieces, actually floated up on the spot at this time, emitting an astonishing yellow-green aura. Lin Chen's appearance has completely changed. Now, his height has become almost the same as Broly, more than 2 meters tall, and his strong muscles are no less than Broly's. The only difference from Broly is Lin Chen's eyes, whose pupils are still green and quiet. Yes, at this moment Lin Chen has finally transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan form. I see. In order to transform into a legendary Super Saiyan, you also need the guidance of anger. Lin Chen looked at himself full of strength, and finally realized it in vain. No wonder he had never been able to break through in the past, because at that time, he had always been smooth sailing, and even when facing Frieza, he could easily kill him in seconds. Being like that, I can't get angry about anything. However, the legendary Super Saiyan transformation, like the ordinary Super Saiyan transformation, requires extreme anger as a fuse. Just now, Lin Chen's anger towards himself in despair finally allowed him to complete his transformation. After successfully transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan form, Lin Chen's aura changed drastically compared to before. The legendary Super Saiyan form not only cured Lin Chen's injuries, but also increased his combat power directly from the normal 1.6 million to 80 million, a 50-fold increase, almost the same as Broly. And unlike Broly, who was beginning to lose his sanity, even after transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan, Lin Chen could still control his emotions. It will not become a simple killing machine like Broly. Feeling the powerful energy in his body, Lin Chen smiled. He glanced at Broly and hooked his finger at him. Roar! Kill! Suddenly, Broly roared and his expression became crazy. He moved like lightning, flew in front of Lin Chen in an instant, and hit Lin Chen in the face with his huge fist. Snap! Broly's fist was halfway through the flight when it was suddenly caught by another fist. Lin Chen grabbed Broly's hand and said with a smile, "How does it feel to be suppressed by someone in terms of strength? You hit me so many times just now, now it's my turn." Boom! Like a shocking punch, Broly spurted out an unknown liquid from his mouth and bent over in pain. Broly, who had never changed his expression no matter what attack he faced before, now showed pain under Lin Chen's punch. Boom! Lin Chen's iron fist was like a storm, continuously hitting Broly, knocking him from the sky to the ground, and from the ground to the sky. Broly seemed to have lost his ability to react, or like a sandbag, allowing Lin Chen to punch and kick him without any reaction. And for the first time, Broly's aura began to actually weaken. Chapter 60. Bang bang bang! Lin Chen and Broly, two legendary Super Saiyans, engaged in a fierce fist and kick battle. Fist to fist, foot to foot. But this time, Broly did not have the overwhelming advantage he had against Son Goku and others before, and was instead suppressed by Lin Chen. In terms of combat power, Broly is actually superior to Lin Chen, but the current situation is that Broly is being attacked from all angles by Lin Chen, with punches and kicks. Even Broly's neck is twisted, and it seems that he is about to be defeated. The training that Lin Chen received under the guidance of Mr. Popo in the Spirit Time House finally came into play when the strength of both sides was equal. At the same time, because of the battle between the two people, the new Vegeta planet seemed to be on the verge of destruction. The violent energy caused the rocks under their feet to break free from the constraints of gravity and float up, and the mountains and rocks were collapsing. Not far away, Son Goku and the others could only stare blankly. Even Son Goku had to admit that the battle in the sky was now beyond their capabilities. Even if he gathered everyone's energy and went up now, he might not be able to help. Really? In a battle of this intensity, we have no chance to help. Son Goku scratched his head helplessly. I didn't expect that Mr. Lin Chen is so strong. If I had known earlier, I should have fought him first. Son Gohan also said, Dad, I can't see their movements clearly anymore. Hateful. Vegeta looked unwilling. Ever since he defeated Cell, he always thought that he had surpassed Son Goku and became the strongest Saiyan, but he didn't expect to encounter two powerful Saiyans this time. That made him despair. This is a real shame for Vegeta, who has always been proud of being a Saiyan prince. Wah. Just as Lin Chen was beating Broly, Broly suddenly curled up his body, and then stretched it out. A yellow-green light suddenly completely protected Broly's body. Lin Chen's fist was blocked by this light, as if it hit a wall, making a bang sound. Ding! The talent of the primary martial arts genius is activated, and the move protective shield is learned. Hearing the system prompt ringing in his ears, Lin Chen temporarily stopped attacking and took a rest. Broly, don't you think you're invincible? Why do you only know how to defend and counterattack? Under the influence of Lin Chen's words, Broly suddenly roared. All the muscles in his body trembled as he roared, and his aura became more and more powerful. Broly's anger is rising again. Monsters! Are all the legendary Super Saiyans monsters? The roar stopped, Broly grinned and looked at Lin Chen with a wild laugh. At this moment, there was no sign of rationality in him. In the continuous fighting, Broly's sanity finally disappeared, and now he has completely turned into a beast who only knows how to fight. Ha! Broly, who was controlled by madness, rushed forward recklessly. Lin Chen did not dare to take it lightly and put into use all the insights into chi he had learned from Mr. Popo. Broly, who had increased his strength again, had begun to distance himself from Lin Chen in strength. When the power gap reached a certain level, the effect of his skills began to gradually become ineffective. This time, although Lin Chen still had the upper hand, Broly was able to effectively counterattack him. Bang! Lin Chen's fist hit Broly again. Although Broly still showed pain on his face, this time, before Lin Chen retracted his fist, Broly grabbed his arm with one hand. The next moment, a yellow-green energy ball appeared on Broly's other hand. Broly pressed this energy ball directly onto Lin Chen's chest, then pushed it out, exploding instantly. As if seeing a successful attack, Broly roared again, but this time, his roar only lasted for a few seconds before he stopped abruptly. The smoke and dust dissipated, and Lin Chen stood in front of him intact, with a layer of yellow-green protective shield appearing in front of him. Under the protective shield, Lin Chen gasped. After transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan, he also possessed almost infinite power like Broly. However, despite having infinite power, one can still feel tired. Lin Chen looked at Broly in front of him and felt that he should change his strategy. It is impossible to defeat a monster like the legendary Super Saiyan using ordinary means. Broly and I are too close in strength. If we continue to fight like this, there is no way to tell who will win. At this moment, Lin Chen's gaze suddenly fell behind Broly. I don't know when, the sun of the new Vegeta planet has risen, and at this time, in the blue sky, a huge white gas mass has occupied most of the sky. It's that comet. In Paragus' original plan, he intended to use the comet to kill Vegeta and the others, and the comet would hit the new Vegeta planet today. Unknowingly, Lin Chen and his team's battle with Broly had lasted for an entire night, and the huge comet was already not far from the new Vegeta planet. Got it. Just when Lin Chen had just come up with an idea, he saw an astonishing number of energy bombs burning with flames, coming towards Lin Chen like a tsunami. All these energy bombs hit Lin Chen's energy shield and exploded continuously. In the smoke and dust, Lin Chen suddenly flew towards the sky. Broly, who was already bloodthirsty, did not hesitate and chased after Lin Chen closely, constantly throwing energy balls at Lin Chen. What are they going to do? Below, Son Goku and the others watched in wonder as the two men flew higher and higher, almost breaking out of the atmosphere of the new Vegeta planet. But soon, it was too late for them to care about that. Because the huge comet also entered their eyes. Oh no! It's that comet! Uncle Piccolo, where's your universe ship? Over there! Hurry up and get over there! Vegeta! Stop dawdling! Just as Son Goku and the others were escaping towards the universe spaceship, Lin Chen and Broly finally broke out of the atmosphere. Yellow-green protective shields lit up on both of them at the same time, and then they continued to chase each other. Carrying Broly, Lin Chen flew almost to the comet before stopping. Ha! Broly condensed an energy ball in his palm again and threw it towards Lin Chen. The energy ball was not as big as a fist at first, but when it was halfway through the flight, it suddenly became extremely huge. The huge energy ball hit Lin Chen's body straight into his body. But at this moment, Broly discovered that Lin Chen, who was swallowed by the energy ball, suddenly shook and disappeared from the spot. This Lin Chen was actually just an afterimage. Chapter 61. Afterimage Fist. The next moment, Lin Chen suddenly appeared behind Broly and hugged him tightly. Ha ha ha! All the strength in Lin Chen's body exploded at this moment. He grabbed Broly tightly, and then took him and crashed into the comet. The legendary Super Saiyan is nearly unbeatable unless there is an overwhelming power gap. The only way Lin Chen can think of to defeat Broly right now is to use the comet. Even Broly can't hold out when faced with a comet that can easily destroy a planet. However, when Lin Chen held Broly and flew towards the comet at an accelerated speed, even Broly, who had lost his mind, sensed the danger under the huge pressure of the comet. Broly began to punch Lin Chen on the back repeatedly, trying to break free from Lin Chen's hands. Boom boom boom. Let go. Let me go. Perhaps sensing that his life was in danger, Broly suddenly regained consciousness and started shouting. At the same time, 2 energy balls condensed in each of his hands and pressed down on Lin Chen's back. Boom. Lin Chen had already used up all of his energy to suppress Broly, and he had no extra energy to create a protective shield, so he could only grit his teeth and take on these 2 attacks. Fortunately, he has become the legendary Super Saiyan, and his body is as indestructible as Broly's. But this was just the beginning. Next, Broly went crazy and kept pouring dense rain of energy bullets onto Lin Chen's back. The sound of the explosion was like the crackling of raindrops. Even Lin Chen, who had become the legendary Super Saiyan, began to feel dizzy. But Lin Chen did not let go, and still used all his strength to take Broly and fly towards the comet. Above the 2 people's heads, a huge comet was already within reach. Looking around, all they could see was the white gas mass of the comet. Let go. Then we'll both die together. No, only you will die, not me. Instant transmission. Lin Chen suddenly transmitted instantly and arrived at the surface of the new Vegeta planet. Standing on a broken rock, he raised his head with difficulty and looked at the sky above his head. Without Lin Chen, Broly finally stopped, but at this time, the comet was already very close to him. It's too late to escape. Broly fell into madness again. He opened his arms, roared, and a powerful energy aura emanated from his whole body. He actually wanted to stop the comet by himself. Boom! When Broly's body hit the comet, for a moment, the comet seemed to stop. But unfortunately, the next moment, a huge comet completely swallowed Broly. Along with his breath, it was annihilated at this moment. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the choice, defeat Broly alone. Reward, combat power plus 5 million. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the choice, liberate the southern galaxy controlled by the legendary Super Saiyan. Reward, a legendary Super Saiyan 2 form experience card. Do you want to use the experience card immediately? No. Are you kidding? The new Vegeta planet is about to be destroyed. How can we use the experience card at this time? With Broly's death, the new Vegeta planet is also coming to an end. Returning to normal, Lin Chen looked around and finally locked onto the location of Son Goku and the others. Lin Chen immediately flew towards their universe spaceship, and when he got closer, he performed instant transmission again and jumped into the spaceship. Hi, I'm back. Inside the spaceship, Lin Chen greeted Son Goku and the others with a smile, then sat down on the universe spaceship, breathing heavily. Host, Lin Chen combat power, 6.6 million bloodline, Legend of Super Saiyan bloodline skills, instant transmission, primary martial arts genius talent, primary potential development technique, perfect control of chi moves, planet destroyer bomb, death beam, fire wave, Kamehameha, after image fist, instant Kamehameha. This confrontation with Broly was the closest Lin Chen had ever been to death since he traveled through time. But the gains were equally astonishing, not to mention the almost legendary Super Saiyan 2 form experience card. Lin Chen's combat effectiveness was also increased several times. His current maximum combat power has reached 330 million, which is a qualitative leap compared to the past. It's like getting rich overnight, hey? It turns out that choosing the most difficult challenge and risking death is worth it. But Lin Chen was only happy for a short while before he calmed down. 330 million, seemingly invincible, but he remembered that the combat power increase of Super Saiyan 2 form was twice that of Super Saiyan 1 form. And in this world, there are many enemies whose strength can rival that of Super Saiyan 2. Not to mention people like Beerus who are at the top of the combat power above all gods. Right now, I am far from being invincible. I still have a long way to go in my future. Mr. Lin Chen, are you really leaving? Trunks' voice brought Lin Chen back to reality. At this time, everyone was on their way back to Earth. Goku and his crew already knew that Lin Chen was planning to leave. Yes, although the contact was brief, my goal has been achieved. It's time to prepare to leave. Piccolo glanced at Lin Chen. Before this, he had learned from Sun Gohan that Lin Chen was a Saiyan from a parallel universe. He suddenly said, "You came to our world for Broly, didn't you? The current Piccolo has become Piccolo who has been fused with the god and possesses the wisdom of the god. Naturally, it is impossible for him to hide Lin Chen's little thoughts." "Yes." Son Goku asked, "Mr. Lin Chen, can you tell us about the situation in your world?" "Of course." Lin Chen replied with a smile, and then told the story of the other world. When Vegeta heard that in Lin Chen's world, Saiyan not only did not perish, but defeated Frieza and started a new journey, his face flushed with excitement. After finishing the story of his own world, Lin Chen realized that it was time to go back. He stood up and said goodbye to Son Goku and the others. But at this moment, Vegeta suddenly shouted, "Wait! Who are you? You can become a legendary Super Saiyan, so you must not be an ordinary person on the Vegeta planet in that world." Lin Chen turned around and smiled at Vegeta, "Vegeta, in my world, I am the king of Saiyan." After saying that, Lin Chen used instant transmission, left the spaceship, and returned to the first stop when he came to this world. "System, open the door of time and space and let me go home." Chapter 62. The method of returning to the original time and space was indeed as simple as the system had originally said. After Lin Chen gave the order, a beam of energy shot out from his body and hit the dark space. The next moment, the door of time and space that brought Lin Chen here opened. From the gate of time and space, a familiar feeling came to Lin Chen. How to say it? Is this the taste of hometown? So, Lin Chen didn't hesitate and dived in. Then, he entered a colorful and strange time and space. Lin Chen, who had already had this experience once, naturally knew that this space and time was an inexplicable space outside of time and space. Based on the previous experience, it won't take long for Lin Chen to escape from this space and return to the real time and space. But what's strange is that this time, Lin Chen actually stayed in this space for a long time. Gradually, Lin Chen began to feel that something was wrong. "System, what's going on? Why haven't I gone out yet?" What was suspicious was that the system did not answer immediately, but only responded after a long while. Ding, the space-time anchor disappears, and the space-time door is forcibly opened for the host. Wait, the space-time anchor disappeared? What does that mean? Lin Chen suddenly felt something was wrong. But before he could react, a door of time and space suddenly opened in front of Lin Chen. The next moment, Lin Chen was sucked into the door of time and space and returned to the real world. Time goes back to when Lin Chen just passed through the gate of time and space. Shortly after he left, two figures suddenly appeared in this space. These two men, one is tall and the other is short, but it seems that the short one is the leader. Sir Supreme Kai, the time and space anomaly is right here. It's really strange, why is it here? It may be due to the influence of the black hole, Jebit. Don't waste time and get ready quickly. Otherwise, it would be bad if something passes through the space-time gate and disrupts the order of time. Clear. The two figures then raised their palms and pointed at the space where the gate of time and space once appeared. Immediately afterwards, an indescribable force was exerted on this space. No one knew how long it had passed before the two figures disappeared. At this moment, in the space that had originally returned to calm, a blood-red door of time and space opened again. Lin Chen rushed out from behind the door and returned to the real space. And at the same time Lin Chen came out, the door of time and space disappeared instantly. Lin Chen turned around and stared at the nothingness around him, confirming that this was indeed the vicinity of the black hole where he first opened the door to time and space. But what happened just now? System? I need an explanation. Ding. Returning to the host, the time-space anchor is found to be unstable, causing a discrepancy between the host's return time and the original time. Speak human language. Ding. Back to the host, 6 years have passed in the current time and space. What? 6 years? Lin Chen never imagined that he had only stayed in another time and space for a few days, so how come 6 years had passed in his original time and space? System, you are cheating me? Why is this happening? Time and space. Don't tell me this, I want to be told what to do. Ding. The system suspected that an external force interfered with the time-space gate opened by the host. After the host left, the coordinate points left by the time-space gate were erased, causing the host to be unable to find the coordinates when he returned. Eradicate? Who could it be? Lin Chen thought about it and decided to go back to Vegeta Star as soon as possible. In the blink of an eye, he had been away for 6 years. He didn't know if there was any accident on Vegeta Star. The next moment, Lin Chen appeared above the Vegeta planet. When he appeared on the planet Vegeta, he saw a busy and peaceful scene on the planet, which was very different from 6 years ago. On the planet, you can see many spaceships from the universe coming in and out from time to time. If you use your chi to sense it, you can detect that in addition to Saiyan, there are many more people from the universe on Vegeta. Just as Lin Chen began to descend towards the surface of the planet, a siren sounded not far away. Several universe spaceships with flashing warning lights drove over, and several Saiyan and universe people flew out of the spaceships with alert expressions and surrounded Lin Chen. "This is Vegeta planet, stranger of unknown origin, tell us your purpose immediately." A Saiyan wearing a combat power detector on his head shouted at Lin Chen. Cold sweat kept flowing down his face, because according to the readings of his detector, the combat power of this unknown guy in front of him was as high as over 500,000. This is the strength of the elite fighters on the Vegeta planet, except for the senior leaders led by Princess Han-Asia. It is unknown whether these defense team members, whose combat effectiveness is only tens of thousands, can hold on until the arrival of the elite fighters. Wait, this person looks familiar. I seem to have seen him somewhere before. Who could it be? Lin Chen looked at their wary expressions and wondered if many foreign enemies had come to Vegeta Star during the 6 years he was away. Otherwise, these people wouldn't be acting so cautiously, right? But what about these aliens? Alas, a lot has changed in 6 years. Thinking of this, Lin Chen continued to descend. Seeing that they didn't warn him, a young Saiyan who looked no more than a teenager, perhaps because he was nervous for a moment, actually shot a ki blast at Lin Chen. Idiot! Everyone, pay attention and prepare for battle immediately. Seeing that his own people had fired the first shot, the team leader Saiyan knew that the situation was irreversible and had to immediately issue the order to prepare for battle. But at this moment, the people at the scene saw the ki blast shot by the Saiyan hit Lin Chen head-on and then disappeared. Lin Chen continued to descend as if nothing had happened. What? What's going on? Everyone looked towards the young Saiyan, who also looked puzzled. I just used my full strength. Don't worry about it, notify the defense headquarters immediately. Someone broke into Vegeta planet by force. Soon, dozens of Saiyan rose into the air above the ground and flew towards Lin Chen together. This time, there were even more powerful auras. Is it Paragus? Feeling a familiar breath, Lin Chen smiled. A moment later, it was Paragus who flew up with a group of young Saiyans. However, when he saw Lin Chen's face, Paragus suddenly froze in place, and then burst into excited shouts. Ah! It's His Majesty! His Majesty Lynx is back! Paragus shouted excitedly. At the same time, he turned on the communicator and used his authority to shout on the public channel, "Everyone, His Majesty Lynx is back!" At this moment, the entire Vegeta planet seemed to have fallen silent. Immediately afterwards, a golden aura rose from the palace and flew towards Lin Chen rapidly. "Your Majesty Lynx!" Han-Asia, who had transformed into a Super Saiyan, rushed into Lin Chen's arms, greedily inhaling the scent of the other person. Chapter 63. Seeing Han-Asia's actions, how could the other Saiyans not understand what was going on? What's more, those who don't know Lin Chen are only the younger generation of Saiyan. Most Saiyan naturally still remember what Lin Chen looks like. After confirming that the person in the sky was their king who had left for 6 years, all the Saiyan knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction of Lin Chen. "Hey, what's wrong with you guys? Who is that person? What are you doing?" The universe people on the ground looked in wonder as their Saiyan companions beside them stopped what they were doing, knelt on one knee, and made puzzled noises. "Shut up! That's our Saiyan king, His Majesty Lynx." "What? Lynx? He is Lynx!" The universe people at the scene exclaimed in surprise. The fame of the Saiyan King Lynx is now well known throughout the universe. Even those who have never seen his appearance have heard the story of Lynx personally killing Frieza, the emperor who roamed the universe, on the planet Tiwi. But later I heard that the Saiyan King Lynx went on a long journey and had not returned for several years. I didn't expect that he would come back today. "Your Majesty Lynx!" Another figure rose rapidly from the capital of Star Vegeta and flew towards Lin Chen. It was King Vegeta. Lin Chen appointed 4 leaders to look after the Saiyan Kingdom, and only Burdock has not appeared yet. Seeing the entire planet stagnant because of him, Lin Chen smiled and said, I am Lynx, I am back, everyone, please leave. Yes. Saiyans all over the planet answered almost at the same time. After a moment, order on the planet returned to normal. Only the Saiyans who had just surrounded Lin Chen were still standing there in a daze, not daring to move. Lin Chen glanced at them and waved his hand, saying, You all can go back. It's been 6 years. It's normal that you don't recognize me anymore. Upon hearing this, these people retreated in panic as if they had been pardoned. Lin Chen landed on the surface with King Vegeta and others. The closer Lin Chen got to Star Vegeta, the more he discovered the differences on the planet. In 6 years, buildings have sprung up on the planet, especially in the capital city area, which is bustling with spaceships coming in and out continuously. It even feels like a trading planet in the universe. And in the huge square in the center of the city, there is a giant statue 100 meters high standing tall. Lin Chen took a look and smiled. Because that statue was the statue of Lin Chen transforming into a Super Saiyan form. No wonder those Saiyan didn't recognize me just now. For the past 6 years, all they had seen was Lin Chen transformed into a Super Saiyan, so they naturally forgot his original appearance. After entering the palace, Lin Chen returned to the throne he had not seen for a long time. Han Axia sat directly on Lin Chen's lap without any hesitation. Meet King Lynx. Under the throne, in addition to King Vegeta and others, some other Saiyans also came to the palace and saluted Lin Chen. Among them were 2 alien races that were not Saiyan. King Vegeta explained that these people are the important figures in charge of various affairs on the planet Vegeta. The 2 aliens, one is the ambassador of the Galactic Patrol to Vegeta, and the other is the representative of the Galactic Trade Federation. After hearing this, Lin Chen immediately asked curiously, what happened in the past 6 years? It looks like you guys are doing well. King Vegeta immediately explained. In fact, although Lin Chen had been away for 6 years, these 6 years were not long for Saiyan. In the past, when Saiyan was still working for Frieza, he would often be on assignments that took him away for several years. Children like those who were exiled to weak planets because of their low combat effectiveness often need 6 or 7 years to complete the mission. Therefore, during the 6 years that Lin Chen was away, everything on Vegeta Star remained on track and nothing went wrong. After he left, King Vegeta and his companions continued to follow Lin Chen's instructions and develop and build the Vegeta Star. In terms of military force, Vegeta continues to cooperate with the Galactic Patrol, completing the tasks they issued while organizing troops, led by Princess Hanasia and Burdock, starting from Vegeta, launching attacks on the territories originally belonging to Frieza and liberating the planets occupied by Frieza. In 6 years, 70% of Frieza's territory had been liberated, and countless indigenous people regained their freedom. During this period, Saiyans' reputation gradually changed. When the Saiyans first began to perform the tasks of the Galactic Patrol, some weak nations thought they were invading demons and were terrified. When some planets ruled by Frieza were liberated, some people thought they just changed their rulers. But after a period of trepidation, the expected things did not happen, and these ethnic groups then discovered that the Saiyan today is completely different from what was rumored. After Saiyan's good reputation gradually spread, some weak races even took the initiative to contact Vegeta and established an employment relationship to hire Saiyan to protect the planet. Other similar collaborations are also constantly being explored. With the cooperation, naturally there needs to be someone stationed on the planet to conduct daily contact and communication with Saiyan. This also led to an increase in the number of aliens on the planet Vegeta. In addition to the use of force, a cooperation that Lin Chen had reached on Earth also allowed Saiyan's forces to be inserted into the Galactic Trade Alliance. The Universal Capsule from Dr. Brief unexpectedly became a bestseller in the best-selling universe. At the beginning, the Saiyans on planet Vegeta had no intention of using the Universal Capsule as a trading product. Most of the Universal Capsules from Earth were brought back by Hanasia when she went to Earth for fun. As a result, an accident allowed the aliens on the Vegeta planet to see the Universal Capsule. As a result, the Universal Capsule quickly became popular among other civilizations. Paragus, as a staff officer, played a key role here. After discovering the business opportunity, he immediately made Hanasia reach an agency sales agreement with Brief. As the representative of the Universal Capsule, he sold the Universal Capsule on Vegeta Star. Saiyan naturally has no feelings for money, but food is something Saiyan cannot refuse. Unfortunately, Saiyans have a huge appetite, and the output of Vegeta alone can only keep the Saiyans on the planet from getting hungry. If they want to eat their fill, they must purchase large quantities from other planets. Previously, most of the galactic patrol's rewards were exchanged for food. The sensation caused by the Universal Capsule gave Saiyan an additional source of funds. Thanks to the popularity of the Universal Capsule, food from all over the universe was transported to Vegeta and became Saiyan's meal. The abundant food even affected Saiyan's birth rate. Since obtaining the Universal Capsule as a source of wealth, Saiyan's birth rate has increased by a full 10% compared to the past. Chapter 64. Upon hearing the news, Lin Chen couldn't help but cheer for Paragus. As a Saiyan, he was able to come up with the idea of doing business. Although letting Saiyan do business sounds a bit outrageous, just from the fact that he has increased Saiyan's birth rate, Lin Chen must reward him well. You know, the Saiyan in this world are already on the verge of extinction without Frieza's intervention. After all, the population of the entire Saiyan planet is less than 10,000 people, which is a very precarious situation for a biological population. This problem was not resolved even after Lin Chen freed Saiyan from Frieza and closed the Vegeta planet to the outside world for 5 years. Due to insufficient food, there are not many new Saiyans. But now, thanks to Paragus's approach, things are finally showing signs of improvement. According to Paragus's report, the current Saiyan population has exceeded 10,000. Almost every Saiyan family has a newborn baby. Even King Vegeta, the old tree, bloomed, and gave birth to another boy. King Vegeta, that's good. Your Majesty, you are joking. King Vegeta said with a red face. Hanasia hugged Lin Chen and whispered in his ear, Your Majesty, when can we have our own children? Lin Chen coughed and quickly changed the subject. King Vegeta, how is Saiyan's strength now? King Vegeta said, Your Majesty, after these 5 years, the number of Saiyan warriors with a combat power of more than 10,000 has exceeded 2,000. The number of warriors with a combat power of more than 100,000 has exceeded 300, and the number of warriors with a combat power of more than 500,000 has increased by 3 people in addition to us. King Vegeta was extremely excited when talking about Saiyan's achievements in the past 6 years. Saiyan has never been so powerful in his entire life. Not to mention that in addition to these, there are 2 Super Saiyans, Lin Chen and Hanasia, in charge. All of this is worthy of every Saiyan's pride. Lin Chen was quite satisfied with the improvement of Saiyan's strength. He nodded and asked, By the way, King Vegeta, how about you guys? Besides Hanasia, has anyone become a Super Saiyan? Us. When King Vegeta heard Lin Chen mention them, his expression immediately changed and he and Paragus looked at each other in bewilderment. The 2 men knelt on one knee, looking guilty. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, we wasted the fruit of your spirit tree. In the past 6 years, apart from Princess Hanasia, no new Super Saiyan has been born among the Saiyans. Even our combat effectiveness hasn't improved for a long time. Oh. Upon hearing this, Lin Chen immediately turned on the combat power detector and glanced at the 2 of them. As expected, King Vegeta's combat power is now only 690,000, while Paragus is at least 600,000, which is almost no improvement compared to 6 years ago. As for Hanasia in Lin Chen's arms, even though she can transform into a Super Saiyan, her normal combat power is only 640,000, which is worse than King Vegeta. Where is Bardock? Lin Chen asked. Bardock has been fighting outside all the time, and his combat power has increased much more than ours, but he only has 730,000. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, we seem to have reached our limit. Limit? Lin Chen smiled. It is true that King Vegeta and Bardock are not as talented as the future Vegeta in his generation when it comes to qualifications, and even with the latest training methods, they have almost exhausted their potential. But have they reached their limit? Lin Chen doesn't think so. Putting Hanasia on the ground, Lin Chen stood up and walked in front of King Vegeta and Paragus. You 2 have done a great job in the 6 years I was away. As a reward, allow me to enhance your potential. What? Seeing Lin Chen put his hand on his head, King Vegeta was a little embarrassed. Your Majesty, what are you going to do? I want to awaken your potential power. Potential power? Is there really such a power? I feel like I have already cultivated to the limit. As soon as King Vegeta finished speaking, his aura suddenly burst out uncontrollably, so that the others around him couldn't help but look at him sideways. Power? Power. My power suddenly increased. King Vegeta shouted excitedly, and immediately turned on the detector to check himself. Incredible. My combat power has increased by 100,000. Your Majesty, what on earth did you just do? It's just awakening your potential power. Not only potential power, your limit should also be improved. If you practice well, there should be a possibility of improvement in the future. Lin Chen explained. Yes. Thank you, Your Majesty. Immediately afterwards, Lin Chen used the potential development technique on Paragus and Hanasia successively, which also greatly improved their combat effectiveness. Especially Hanasia, whose combat power was increased to 900,000 at one time. It's amazing. Your Majesty, how did you do it? I won't explain how I did it. Anyway, what I just said is the reward I gave to you three for the past 6 years. King Vegeta. Lin Chen said. Yes. King Vegeta responded. Notify everyone that anyone who has made contributions in missions in the future will receive a reward from me for awakening their potential. I understand. King Vegeta answered excitedly, and the Saiyan cadres present also had red eyes. After rewarding the three people, Lin Chen listened to some of the events of the past 6 years, then dismissed everyone and returned to the palace to rest. In his own bedroom, Lin Chen hugged Hanasia, satisfying the emptiness she had felt for 6 years. After a passionate moment, Hanasia lay on Lin Chen's chest and listened to Lin Chen telling the story of his missing 6 years. When Hanasia learned that Lin Chen had actually traveled to another time and space, she immediately let out a burst of exclamations. Another time and space? No wonder we haven't heard any news from Your Majesty in the past 6 years. It turned out to be in another time and space. How many Saiyans are left in that time and space? The legendary Super Saiyan? I thought that was just the Super Saiyan we turned into. So we are not the Super Saiyan mentioned in the legend. Hanasia sighed as she listened to Lin Chen's words. However, when Lin Chen heard her expressing her feelings about a person in that time and space, he was suddenly stunned. Kakarot? Isn't that Burdok's son? I remember that when he was born, his combat power was only 2, right? I didn't expect that he could become a Super Saiyan. Lin Chen suddenly sat up and asked, Kakarot. Oops, I almost forgot. Your Majesty? What did you forget? Hannah, what month is it on Earth now? Lin Chen turned over and got out of bed, and asked as he put on his clothes again. What month? It seems to be September. Your Majesty, are you going out? Hanasia asked. Sorry Hannah, I have to go to Earth now. Earth? Your Majesty, you are not going to look for ties. No, I want to go meet Kakarot. Lin Chen replied. Burdok's son? Why? Because, a legend is about to begin. Lin Chen turned around and said with a smile. September of 749 AI was the time when Kakarot, named Son Goku in the original work, first set out on his journey to find the 7 Dragon Balls. Chapter 65. September 1st, 749 AD. Earth, Bun Mountain. This is a quiet area surrounded by high mountains and steep cliffs. It is remote and sparsely populated. However, on this day, the roar of motors rang out in the mountains. An off-road vehicle was speeding through the mountains. A girl was sitting in the driver's seat, driving the car while multitasking and looking at the Dragon Ball radar in her hand. The 4-star beads are ahead. Master Roshi is so useless. He doesn't even know the flying technique. If he knew the flying technique, I wouldn't have to work so hard. He has only collected 2 beads so far. The girl complained and immediately began to fantasize. By the way, if I find Shenron, what wish should I make? Should I ask about the whereabouts of brother Lin Chen? No, Taisai said that brother Lin Chen just went on a long journey and will come back one day. I can't waste my wish on this matter. I should make a wish to Shenron and let brother Lin Chen fall in love with me. Yeah, that's it. This young girl is none other than the grown-up Bulma. In a blink of an eye, 6 years have passed, and the little Lolita has grown into a young girl. Just like in the original story, Bulma in this world also embarks on a journey to find the Dragon Ball. In fact, Bulma's desire to collect Dragon Balls dates back many years. Ever since she learned that there was such a magical thing as Dragon Ball in the world, Bulma has always fantasized about winning Lin Chen's love by collecting all the Dragon Balls. To this end, Bulma collected legends about Dragon Ball everywhere, and from eavesdropping on the conversation between Lin Chen and others in the past, she learned that by collecting 7 Dragon Balls, she could summon Shenron to fulfill her wish. For this reason, Bulma once thought about stealing Master Roshi's Dragon Ball for research, so as to create a tool that can find the Dragon Ball. However, just before Bulma was ready to take action, Master Roshi's Dragon Ball was accidentally lost. Without the Dragon Ball, Bulma naturally could not develop the Dragon Ball radar. It wasn't until one day 6 years later that Bulma accidentally found a Dragon Ball in her home warehouse that she finally created the Dragon Ball radar and embarked on a journey to find the Dragon Ball. Just as Bulma was daydreaming, a big fish suddenly appeared on the mountain road in front of the car. How could there be fish on the mountain road? Before Bulma could react, she saw that it was a young boy walking with a large fish on his shoulder. Ah! It's too late. Seeing that the car was about to hit head-on, Bulma hurriedly stepped on the brakes. With great difficulty, the car stopped before hitting the teenager. But the boy was frightened. He jumped up and pulled out a stick from behind. "You monster, are you here to steal my food? Look at how powerful I am." Son Goku was about to smash the car, but at this moment, Bulma suddenly jumped out of the car. "Hey! You little brat, this is my car. What are you doing?" "What? There's a monster hidden in the monster's stomach." It was the first time Bulma was called a monster, and her cheeks puffed up. "Damn you, you dare to call me a monster." Bulma took out the combat power detector, glanced at the boy, and laughed. "Ha! A scumbag with a combat power of only 10. I'll teach you a lesson." Today's Bulma has been training under Master Roshi for several years. Although Bulma's talent in martial arts is average, she has been guided by a famous master and has long possessed strength far beyond that of ordinary people. Her combat power has reached 20. After putting the combat power detector back into her bag, Bulma threw down her backpack and punched the boy. "Go ahead if you want to fight. I'll stick with you till the end." Seeing this, the boy raised his stick and rushed towards Bulma. However, boom, boom. A moment later, the boy was beaten up by Bulma and lay on the ground with his buttocks facing the air. "Oh, this monster is so powerful, Grandpa, I'm sorry, I lost." Seeing that the boy no longer had the strength to fight back, Bulma clapped her hands and prepared to leave with a relieved look on her face. But at this moment, she suddenly noticed the thing on the boy's butt that looked like a monkey's tail. "Hey? You have a tail? Are you a Saiyan?" "Saiyan." The boy sat up with great effort. "I'm not Saiyan, I'm Son Goku." "Idiot! I didn't say your name. I said your race." "Race? What is race? Can you eat it?" Bulma rolled her eyes. "I'm asking you, is your tail real?" "Of course." Goku raised his butt and shook his tail in front of Bulma. Seeing this, Bulma has confirmed that the child in front of her is actually a Saiyan like Lin Chen. Although she didn't understand why a Saiyan child appeared here, Bulma suddenly felt close to Son Goku. "Since you're Saiyan, I'll forgive you. Next time you see a girl, remember to be polite." "Ah? You're a girl?" "Yes. Are all girls so powerful?" Bulma was stunned for a moment, thought about it and said, "I am special." With that, Bulma got in the car and continued to drive away in the direction of Dragon Ball. Son Goku looked at Bulma who was leaving, blinked his eyes, and said excitedly, "That girl just now was really amazing. Grandpa is right. There are indeed many masters in this world." In his excitement, Son Goku froze for a moment, looked at the car going away, jumped up, and said, "Hey, why does she seem to be heading towards my house?" Son Goku curiously chased after him, and when he returned to his home, he just happened to see Bulma walking out happily with his grandfather's 4-star pearl. "Great! Now I have 3 Dragon Balls." "Stop! That's my grandfather's relic. No one is allowed to touch it." Son Goku looked anxious and tried to snatch the Dragon Ball back. But now his fighting power was only half of Bulma's, so he was easily knocked down again. But Son Goku still refused to give in. Seeing this, Bulma had no choice but to say, "Okay, I'll show you." With that, Bulma took out her 2 Dragon Balls. Son Goku's eyes widened when he saw the 2 Dragon Balls in Bulma's hand. "Hey! Why are there 2 grandfathers? Weird." Son Goku was confused. "This is Dragon Ball." Bulma smiled and said, "If you gather all 7 Dragon Balls, you can summon Shenron. And Shenron can grant you 1 wish. Is that so?" Son Goku nodded, not quite understanding. "So, how about giving the 4-star in your hand to your sister? I won't let you suffer any loss." Bulma said with a smile. "No. This is my grandfather's relic, I can't give it to you. Son Goku shook his head and refused. Ugh. Bulma put her hands on her hips and frowned. Although I really want to take it away, but since you're a Saiyan. How about this, I don't want your Dragon Ball, I just need to borrow it when I summon Shenron, and I'll keep it with you the rest of the time, how about that? You mean, you want me to go out into the world with you? Yes. Are there many people as strong as you in the outside world? Little Goku asked curiously. Haha, there are many people who are stronger than me. Really? Son Goku's eyes suddenly lit up, okay, but I'll only lend it to you once, and you have to return it to me after you use it. Okay. Bulma looked as if her conspiracy had succeeded. In addition to tricking Goku into giving her the 4-star ball, Bulma also brought Goku along to have a helper. Although he was no match for her, Bulma felt that this little Goku, as a Saiyan, was much more powerful than the average human, and was perfect to be her bodyguard. Bulma has encountered many dangers along the way. Although she can easily deal with these dangers now, fighting is not good for a girl's skin. With little Goku, it becomes much easier for me. And so, although it is slightly different from the original story, Bulma and Son Goku still embarked on a journey to find the Dragon Ball. Chapter 66. The subsequent story is the same as in the original work, with Son Goku and Bulma embarking on a journey to collect all 7 Dragon Balls. The only difference from the original is that because of the appearance of Lin Chen, Bulma is no longer a powerless girl, but a martial arts master who is stronger than Son Goku. After leaving Baizai Mountain, they were attacked by pterosaurs. The pterosaur originally wanted to catch Bulma and eat her, but during the attack, Bulma caught him and easily killed him with one blow. Instead, Goku was scolded by Bulma, who blamed him for not fulfilling his responsibility as a bodyguard and allowing himself to be attacked. Bulma, you're obviously scarier than a pterosaur, and you still need my protection. What are you talking about? I'm just a weak woman. Bulma yelled. Goku could only shrug at that. Next, they encountered bandits and robbers again, and this time Goku finally played a role and helped Bulma get rid of the troublesome guys. During the journey, the relationship between the two people became better and better, and Bulma unexpectedly discovered that after several battles, Son Goku's combat effectiveness actually began to improve. Hey? Goku, your fighting power actually increased a bit? It's 11 now. Combat power? What is that? At night, Bulma and the others took out a building for the night on their way to the east coast. After taking a bath, Bulma picked up the combat power detector out of boredom and took a look at Son Goku, and she discovered that the child's combat power had actually changed. Combat power is the intensity of your strength. The higher the value, the more powerful you are, Bulma explained. Is that so? Then Bulma, what is your fighting power? Son Goku asked curiously. Hehe, I'm 20 points. Bulma said proudly, among ordinary people, no one can match me. Wow! You're really awesome. Son Goku said enviously, Bulma, how did you become so strong? Ah! Bulma sighed, don't mention it. I trained under a perverted old man for several years to get to where I am today. Perverted old man? Son Goku tilted his head. Don't mention it. Bulma waved her hand. As for you, should I say you really are worthy of being a Saiyan? You have improved your combat power a little in just a few days. If you continue to fight in the future, you should be able to surpass me soon, right? Saiyan. Son Goku asked, Bulma, you keep saying I'm a Saiyan, what exactly is a Saiyan? Bulma said, the Saiyans are actually an alien race. They look similar to humans, but they all have tails, just like you, Goku. Ah? I'm not a human. Son Goku touched his head, no wonder, my grandfather once told me that I actually fell from the sky. Bulma was amused by Goku's words and couldn't help but laugh, if it weren't for your tail and that natural fighting ability, you wouldn't actually look like a Saiyan at all. Most of them are cool. Anyway, Saiyans are very powerful people from the universe. You may be weak now, but you will definitely become stronger in the future. At this point, Bulma clapped her hands and said, by the way, when we find Dragon Ball, do you want to come to my house? Every month, a few Saiyans come to my house to do some work. You can go ask them about your origins. Okay. Son Goku nodded. The next day, Son Goku and his friends encountered a turtle who was lost in the mountains, just like in the original story. Only this time, instead of objecting to Goku rescuing the turtle, Bulma was the first to recognize that the turtle was Master Roshi's turtle. You stupid turtle! Master Roshi thought you were dead. I have no choice. I didn't expect to get lost in the mountains. The turtle didn't expect to meet an acquaintance. He looked relieved. There's nothing I can do. Since he's an acquaintance, I can't just stand by and watch him die. Like the original but not as good as the original, Bulma brought the turtle along and, after dealing with a tiger bandit who blocked the road, they made their way to the seaside. To express his gratitude to the two, the turtle asked them to wait on the shore for a while and then return to the sea. Bulma, what did it go to? How should I know? Maybe he went to see that old pervert. Old pervert. Sure enough, everything happened just as Bulma expected. Not long after, a turtle swam over from the sea carrying Master Roshi. Hey, are you the ones who saved my turtle? Master Roshi greeted from afar, but when he saw Bulma, he was shocked. Bulma? Why is it you? What? You don't want to see me? Bulma sneered. No, no. Master Roshi laughed awkwardly, but quietly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Promising to Lin Chen to teach the Bulma sisters martial arts was the most wrong thing Master Roshi had ever done in his life. Because there are two beautiful girls hanging around in front of him every day, but he doesn't even have the courage to take a peek at them, because these two people have such powerful backgrounds. But Bulma and the others were too nosy. When they were with Master Roshi, they even didn't let him watch the yoga class tutorial, which made Master Roshi very upset. He finally sent them away, but he didn't expect to meet them again today. Bulma, we are all acquaintances, so I won't give you any gifts, how about that? Sure, you don't have anything to give anyway, hey. Bulma suddenly froze, her eyes falling on Master Roshi's neck. Master Roshi, isn't that a Dragon Ball? Yes. Master Roshi took out the Dragon Ball necklace from his neck. I thought I had lost it, but I found it again in Kame's house during the recent cleaning. Okay then. Just give me this as a gift. Just like in the original story, Master Roshi was going to propose a condition, but when the words came to his lips, he suddenly thought about it and decided to hand the Dragon Ball to Bulma. Forget it, this girl is Tai's sister, and Tai's boyfriend is the powerful Saiyan, whom I can't afford to offend. Master Roshi, you saved me and this child, said the turtle. Master Roshi adjusted his sunglasses, dropped Bulma, and turned to Son Goku and said, My child, since you are the turtle who saved me, I will give you a little gift in return. Then, just like in the original story, Master Kame sent a somersault cloud to Goku. Watching Goku riding on the somersault cloud and flying in the sky like a bird, Master Roshi was suddenly stunned. Hey? Bulma, why does this kid have a tail? Of course, because he is Saiyan. What? Lin Chen and Taisai have a child? Master Roshi said in surprise. Of course not. I met him in the mountains. His grandfather is called Son Gohan. Master Roshi was stunned for a moment and called Son Goku down. After confirming with him, he found out that this child was actually the adopted child of his former disciple Son Gohan. I never thought that the child Gohan adopted turned out to be a Saiyan. Chapter 67. Say goodbye to Master Roshi, and next, the adventures of Son Goku and Bulma continue. Just like the original, they got the fifth Dragon Ball in a small mountain village harassed by monsters, and also captured a pig-headed boy named Oolong. In order to prevent Oolong from continuing to do evil, they tied him up and traveled with him, where they met the desert thief Yamcha. After a fierce battle, Son Goku and his group continued on their journey, while Yamcha followed them from a distance because he was unwilling to accept defeat. As the adventure continued, no one, including Bulma, noticed that there was actually someone silently watching their adventure from above their heads. This person is Lin Chen, who came to Earth. When he found out that the plot of Dragon Ball was about to begin, Lin Chen immediately came to Earth. With a pilgrimage-like mindset, he silently watched the adventure of Son Goku and his crew without anyone noticing. Although the adventure below is a little different from what Lin Chen knew in the past because of Bulma's strengthening, fortunately the difference is not that big. On this day, when Son Goku and his crew solved the trouble at Flame Mountain and began looking for the last Dragon Ball, Lin Chen suddenly discovered that besides himself, there was someone else watching Son Goku and his crew from a distance. Is this Energy Burdock? It turns out he is on Earth. Sensing the other person's breath, Lin Chen smiled slightly and moved over. Sure enough, at an altitude of nearly 10,000 meters, Lin Chen met Burdock, whom he had not seen for 6 years. Beside him, there was a female Saiyan. Burdock. Burdock and the female Saiyan were both startled when they heard someone calling them. But when they found out that the person coming was Lin Chen, their shock turned into joy. Your Majesty Lynx, you are back. Yet. Lin Chen nodded, I was wondering why I didn't see you on Planet Vegeta. Did you come to Earth? Your Majesty Lynx, this is my wife Jin, we are actually here to see Kakarot. After Burdock's explanation, Lin Chen realized that in the past 6 years, Burdock and Jin would take time out every year to come to Earth to see their children. After Planet Vegeta is transferred, using the Galactic Patrol's latest high-speed spacecraft, it will only take a week to reach Earth. But every time they just quietly observed his growth from a distance. Burdock, are you planning to take Kakarot back to Planet Vegeta? No. Burdock shook his head and smiled at his wife. Actually, Jin did have this idea, but it was your Majesty's idea to send Kakarot to Earth. Also, I have seen some fragments of the future. Although they are only scattered images, I know that Kakarot will start a brand new life on Earth in the future. This will be very helpful for Kakarot's growth. Your Majesty, what is the purpose of your visit this time? Me? I'm here to see Kakarot, too. This kid has a bright future. Really? Jin asked excitedly. It was related to the future of his child, so she couldn't help but be excited. Lin Chen nodded, yes, I think Kakarot may become a Super Saiyan in the future. Super Saiyan? Jin was stunned for a moment. There were only 2 people on the entire Vegeta planet who could transform into super soldiers. His son Kakarot's current combat power is only 10, but he can also become a Super Saiyan? Your Majesty, is this really possible? We can wait and see. The future of Kakarot will be the hope for Saiyan's future. Lin Chen commented on Son Goku. Burdock and Jin were both extremely excited when they heard this. Since taking the throne of the Saiyan King, Lin Chen's words have never been wrong. Since he has made such a comment, the future of Kakarot is indeed limitless. Although Kakarot's combat power is still pitifully low now, since Lin Chen said so, he may have the possibility of a counterattack in the end. Thank you, Your Majesty. Your words are enough. Jin and I will go back first. Burdock said as he was about to leave. Don't bother. I'll send you there via instant transmission. Using instant transmission to send the Burdocks back to Vegeta, Lin Chen improved Burdock's potential once again, greatly improving Burdock's combat effectiveness, and then he returned to Earth. At this time, the story of Goku and his friends has already progressed to King Pilaf. Although Goku has grown and has Bulma as his helper, the power of the 2 of them is still very weak. Son Goku and Bulma were both caught in King Pilaf's trap, and the group was eventually captured by Pilaf, and even the 7 Dragon Balls fell into King Pilaf's hands. When Lin Chen returned to Earth, King Pilaf was holding 7 Dragon Balls and came to the square outside his castle. Are we going to summon Shenron again? Lin Chen looked at the scene below and smiled slightly. If the original plot develops as it was, Shenron's wish will be wasted by Oolong next. Although he plans to watch Goku and the others' adventures from the sidelines, this is a rare opportunity to use Shenron, and he doesn't want to miss it. Ha ha ha. I, Pilaf, will become the master of the world. In the square, Pilaf said excitedly. Beside him, the dog-headed men Ash and Xiaowu were equally excited. In the castle's underground prison, Yamcha and the others looked unwilling. My Dragon Ball! Bulma was so angry that she was about to go crazy and punched the wall hard. Every time he threw a punch, the wall would tremble violently, leaving Yamcha and the others standing nearby stunned. They had no idea that Bulma in front of them actually had a power even more powerful than Goku's hidden inside her body. Although Bulma was angry, his strength had no effect on the solid wall. Damn it! Why can't I smash it open? I'm so PD. My Dragon Ball. My wish. Just then, Yamcha suddenly had an idea, right Goku? Use the Kamehameha. How do you know I know Kamehameha? Stop fussing and use it. Bulma, who heard the conversation between the 2, suddenly let out a lion's roar. Okay. Son Goku immediately took a stance and pointed at the wall, came, pa. Ki, gong. After a white key blast bombardment, a small hole finally appeared in the wall. Although no one can escape, at least the 2 little guys, Oolong and Puer, can get out. Oolong, Puer. It's all up to you, go get the Dragon Ball back. Meanwhile, in the square, Pilaf finally summoned Shenron. Come out, Shenron. Chapter 68. As Pilaf finished his words, 7 Dragon Balls suddenly began to emit intense light and shot straight into the sky. Boom! Boom! Golden lightning flashed down from the black night sky like angry electric snakes and hit the 7 Dragon Balls. Roar! As a dragon roar resounded through the heaven and earth, Shenron's green figure appeared in the night sky. Whoever has collected the Dragon Balls, please tell me your wish. I can help you realize any wish. The rough and loud sound spread throughout the wilderness like the sound of a huang zhongdalu. Almost everyone at the scene saw Shenron's true form for the first time. They were shocked and speechless for a while. However, Pilaf soon recovered and opened his mouth, wanting to express his wish excitedly. But at this moment, a figure suddenly fell from the sky and waved to Pilaf and his gang. The next moment, a strong wind suddenly arose from the ground, swept Pilaf and the others up into the sky, and blew them away on the spot. Then, the figure opened his fingers towards Oolong and Puer who were rushing towards Dragon Ball. An invisible force suddenly hit them, pushing Oolong and Puer directly back to the vicinity of the castle. Hey? Who is that person? What's going on? What happened? Hearing the strange noise coming from outside, Bulma and the others, who were already desperate, scrambled to try to see the situation outside through the small hole. Finally, the 3 of them crowded in front of the cave entrance and their eyes fell on the figure. He is. Tears suddenly welled up in Bulma's eyes. Although still far away, she could already recognize the man's back. It's actually him. He is back. It was Lin Chen who drove away Pilaf and his group and stopped Wulong and his group. In the original novel, when Shenron made a wish, Wulong took advantage of it and conjured up a pair of underwear. Lin Chen naturally wouldn't let him ruin Shenron's wish like this. And as it happened, Lin Chen already had his own plans for Shenron's wish. He flew in front of Shenron and made a wish to him. Shenron, I want to ask you first, can you make people immortal? Immortality is something that even gods cannot achieve. I cannot realize this wish. Hearing Shenron's answer, Lin Chen thought to himself that it was indeed so. Shenron's power has its limits, and things like immortality seem to be beyond Shenron's power. Lin Chen made a wish this time, hoping that he and the people he cared about could live forever, but since Shenron couldn't do it, it didn't matter, he had a backup plan. Then do you have any method to prolong people's life? In the underworld, there is a sacred water called the Fountain of Youth. It is the material that the gods use to make the elixir of life. Mortals can live longer if they drink it. The Fountain of Youth? Okay, I want this. This wish is very easy. The next moment, Shenron's eyes glowed red, and a silver pot suddenly fell from the sky and floated in Lin Chen's hand. Lin Chen opened the kettle and saw that there was some colorless and odorless unknown liquid inside. If each person took a sip, it would be enough for about 3 to 5 people. Your wish has come true, so goodbye. After saying that, Shenron transformed into 7 Dragon Balls in mid-air, and after spinning a few times in the sky, it flew towards various parts of the world. After taking the Fountain of Youth back into the system space, Lin Chen turned around and looked at the castle where Son Goku and the others were still imprisoned. Now that you've shown up, let's meet each other. Lin Chen smiled and then flew towards the castle. Seeing Lin Chen flying over, Wulong and Puer were startled. They quickly turned into small animals and went back to the prison through the hole they came from. Oh no, oh no! The weirdo outside is coming towards us! Wulong shouted in horror as he returned to his original form. Don't worry, I know that person. Bulma had stopped crying and said calmly. A moment later, the wall broke open and Lin Chen flew into the cell. Hello! Brother Lin Chen, flutter! Bulma wanted to throw herself directly into Lin Chen's arms, but he caught her with both hands and put her back on the ground. Lin Chen touched Bulma's head and said to her as he did in the past, Bulma, long time no see. Brother Lin Chen, I'm not a child anymore. Lin Chen smiled, said nothing, and looked at other people. Having witnessed Lin Chen's easy intrusion just now, Yamsha, Wulong Puer and the other 2 greeted Lin Chen respectfully, their expressions full of restraint. Son Goku, on the other hand, looked curious, his face full of innocence. Big brother, you are so amazing. I just used all my strength to make a small hole in the wall, but you actually broke it open. Lin Chen smiled and said, as long as you practice hard, you can do it too. Practice hard? But I've been practicing since my grandfather died, ah. You have a tail too? Son Goku exclaimed, his eyes fixed on Lin Chen's tail coiled around his waist. Is this a real tail? That's right. Lin Chen pulled out the tail that was coiled around his waist and swung it behind him. I am the same as you, both are Saiyan. Saiyan. Oh my god, they are from universe. Yamcha and the other two immediately stood up against the wall. Little Goku looked at Lin Chen with a confused look on his face. At this moment, a rumbling sound suddenly came from the distance. Bulma took a step outside the wall, looked out, and immediately drew back. Brother Lin Chen. Those people are back again. Outside the castle, a huge robot was charging towards the castle. Sitting inside were King Pilaf and his two companions who had been slapped away by Lin Chen before. Damn it! Give me back my dream of world domination! King Pilaf yelled, slamming down a red button on the console. The robot immediately raised its right arm and a thick gun barrel extended from its arm. Bang! The next moment, a cannonball flew towards the castle. Be careful! Yamcha yelled, hugged Puer and fell to the ground. Wulong stuck his butt out desperately, trying to squeeze into Yamcha's arms. Only Lin Chen, Bulma, and Goku stood still. Bulma believed Lin Chen, but Goku didn't understand what it was. But a second later, a huge explosion broke out from where the shell fell. The tall castle was razed to the ground in an instant. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Pilaf laughed crazily as he looked at the disappearing castle. Ash and Xiaowu wanted to cry but had no tears. Master Pilaf, all our property is still in the castle. Shut up. What's the point of talking about money? I can't get rid of the hatred in my heart unless I kill them. However, as soon as Pilaf finished speaking, his eyes widened. Behind him, Ashiu and Xiaowu also stared at the monitor with their jaws open and eyes wide open. Under the castle that had turned into ruins, Lin Chen, who was unharmed, slowly floated up from the castle that had turned into ruins. Chapter 69. Seeing Lin Chen floating in the air, Pilaf and the others even stopped breathing for a moment. After a moment, 3 people screamed at the same time, Ghost! As the 3 screamed, a ki blast flew through the air and pierced through the robot's armor. Boom! Amid the flames, Pilaf and the other 2 flew up again. I will be back. When Pilaf and the others disappeared into the air, Bulma jumped up excitedly, Brother Lin Chen. We won! Yamcha and the others looked stunned. But no one noticed that little Goku's eyes were fixed on the full moon in the sky, and his gaze began to become blurry. Roar! Suddenly, Son Goku let out a roar like a wild beast, and his body began to grow larger at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ah! What's going on? Transform! Lin Chen sighed and shouted to Yamcha and the others, get out of here. He's out of control. Then, Lin Chen rushed outside holding Bulma, and put some distance between himself and Goku who had turned into a giant ape. Brother Lin Chen, what happened to Goku? Why did he turn into a monster? Bulma asked in panic. He just looked at the full moon. When Saiyan sees the full moon, he will turn into a giant ape and go berserk. Goku is still young, and he will lose his mind after turning into a giant ape. Lin Chen explained. Bulma heard this, but she looked at Lin Chen first, Brother Lin Chen, then you. Don't worry, I can already control the transformation, and I didn't go to see the moon. Lin Chen said. What about Goku? Bulma asked anxiously. Don't worry, I'll take care of this. After Lin Chen finished speaking, he disappeared on the spot. When he appeared again, he was already behind Son Goku. Even if he's a great ape, his combat power is only over 100. As expected, Goku also has the aura of a protagonist. With a sigh, Lin Chen reached out and grabbed Son Goku's tail. Although he was unconscious, his fighting instinct made Goku feel that his tail was caught. He twisted his huge body, raised his fist and smashed it towards Lin Chen. Knock! Lin Chen easily caught the fist that was bigger than his body, and then exerted more force. Goku's tail fell to the ground and his huge body began to shrink rapidly like a deflated balloon. It soon returned to its original shape and fell into coma. Brother Lin Chen, are you okay? Bulma ran over and asked with concern. I'm fine. Find some clothes to cover Goku. Be careful he doesn't catch a cold. Bulma turned her head and saw that little Goku was lying on the ground with his bare butt. At first she thought Goku was dead, but then she heard Goku snoring and realized he was asleep. Bulma crossed her arms and sighed, I heard Goku mention before that his grandfather was killed by a monster. Could this monster be himself? That should be the case. Although he is just a child, Saiyan, after turning into a giant ape, is no longer something that ordinary humans can deal with. Lin Chen said. But, looking at Son Goku, whose combat power is only in the teens, Lin Chen suddenly thought of something. Now Son Goku's future archenemy Vegeta is much stronger than in the original, and even his elder brother Raditz has a combat power of over 10,000. Should I also help Son Goku speed up his training? Ding! Detecting the host's hesitation about Goku's future, activating the strongest selection system. Choice 1, allow Goku to grow on his own. Reward, universal teaching material, perception of chi, 1 point of time. Choice 2, take Goku back to Planet Vegeta. Reward, universal textbook Kaioken. Option 3, train Goku for a year and increase Goku's combat power by 10,000 points. Reward, 1 bottle of 100% S-cell solvent. Is it up to me to decide the fate of Son Goku? Lin Chen grinned and began to think. To be honest, after seeing the growth of Vegeta Star this time, Lin Chen gradually became indifferent to things on Earth. He had insisted that Bardock send Son Goku to Earth because he saw in Goku's amazing strength in the future, and his child son Gohan would be proof of the strength of the Saiyan and Earthling fusion bloodline. In Lin Chen's opinion, once the development of Planet Vegeta stagnates in the future, Goku on Earth will be their last hope. But now that Star Vegeta is developing smoothly, Goku's combat capability has become somewhat unsatisfactory to Lin Chen. After all, because of the reward for choosing the mission, Lin Chen's normal combat power has been greatly improved. In terms of combat power alone, even an ordinary Super Saiyan 2 level opponent cannot compare with Lin Chen. Therefore, for him, for Star Vegeta, the help Goku can provide in the future is dispensable, at least until he reaches the realm of Super Saiyan 3. The only value that the entire Earth can bring to Lin Chen is to be a bystander and Dragon Ball fan, watching the familiar story happen before his eyes. Thinking of this, Lin Chen has made a decision for himself. System, I choose 1. As for Goku, Lin Chen decided to let nature take its course. At least before he had the ability to move towards the universe, Lin Chen did not intend to interfere with Goku too much. If you think about it carefully, Goku's combat power didn't increase very fast at the beginning. He was the type who would accumulate strength over time. Although the battle on Earth did not allow Goku to grow into a strong man quickly, it laid a solid foundation for Goku. It was these experiences that allowed Goku to grow from a junior warrior to the first powerful man to transform into a Super Saiyan. If Lin Chen interferes with his growth now, perhaps Goku may become stronger in the short term, but it may also kill his growth potential from then on, thus having the effect of forcing things to grow. Just let him grow up slowly on his own. Ding, host selection confirmed, reward has been received. In Lin Chen's system space, a video teaching material in the universal format of the universe immediately appeared, and in Lin Chen's attribute panel, a point of time was added. Not long after, little Goku finally woke up from his coma. When he woke up, he was unaware of the transformation and was instead wondering why his clothes and tail were gone. Yamcha and the others had originally planned to hide the truth from Goku, so that he wouldn't feel surprised when he knew that he was the one who killed his grandfather, but Lin Chen revealed the truth. Ah! So it was me who killed Grandpa. Sure enough, even the innocent Goku found it hard to accept the truth after knowing it. Brother Lin Chen, you are too cruel. Bulma said. No, this is all for him. Lin Chen folded his arms and said to Son Goku seriously, Goku, all this is because you are too weak. If you are strong enough, you can maintain your will even after transforming. In the end, you lack exercise. Goku listened, clenched his fists, and said as if he had made up his mind, Brother Lin Chen, can you teach me how to practice? Chapter 70. You want me to teach you how to practice? Lin Chen looked at Goku and said coldly. Well, big brother, you are so awesome, I want to learn from you. Goku said with a rare serious look on his face. Okay, as long as you can meet me, I will teach you. Lin Chen said. Good. Little Goku nodded vigorously and took a stance as if he was ready to fight to the death. But at this moment, his stomach suddenly growled. Suddenly, little Goku was a little embarrassed and said, Oh, I'm hungry, big brother, can you wait for me to find something to eat? No need. Lin Chen directly threw a senzu bean to Goku, eat this. What is this? Goku put it in his mouth and chewed it curiously, his eyes suddenly widened. Wow! I'm actually full. And all my strength is back. What is this? This is a senzu bean. Eating one will fill your stomach. Brother Lin Chen, do you have any more? Can you give me some? If you could meet me, I could give you some. Alright then. I'm going to take action. Little Goku got into position again, shouted loudly and then rushed directly towards Lin Chen. Although he has a strong aura, the gap in strength is there. With Goku's current strength, even if he wants to touch Lin Chen, it is impossible for him to do so. After playing with Goku for a while, Lin Chen lost his patience. I'm going to fight back, so watch out. What? As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Chen's tail swung over. Little Goku didn't even have time to react before he was knocked unconscious by Lin Chen's tail. Ah! Goku! Oolong and the others ran over and patted Goku on the head, thus waking him up. Brother Lin Chen, weren't you a little too harsh just now? Bulma asked in confusion. Lin Chen shook his head and said to Goku, Goku, do you understand the gap between us now? The gap between us is too big. You can't learn anything from me. On the contrary, you are likely to die while practicing. Little Goku scratched his head, but there was no discouraged expression on his face. He just said regretfully, oh, it seems to be like this. Seeing his innocent face, Lin Chen smiled. Son Goku's simplicity might be one of the reasons why he could grow up so quickly in the future. Thinking of this, Lin Chen said, Goku, do you still remember Master Roshi? Goku replied, you mean that old man? Of course I remember him. He is the second strongest person I have ever seen besides brother Lin Chen. You should go and train with him. He is your grandfather's master. With your current strength, it is most appropriate for you to train with him. Oh, by the way, Bulma also trained with Master Roshi before. Since Lin Chen has made his choice, he is not going to change Son Goku's future. Moreover, Goku can indeed learn a lot of martial arts knowledge from Master Roshi. Really? That's great, I'm going to go to Master Roshi and train with him to become stronger. Goku, let me go with you. Yamcha suddenly said. Master Yamcha? Puer asked in surprise. Puer, I also want to become stronger. After meeting Lin Chen, I realized how naive I was in the past. I want to become stronger and become someone who will not lose to Lin Chen in the future. At least I can't lose to a woman like Bulma. Yamcha added in his mind. Haha, then that's going to be a bit difficult for you. Bulma said with a smile. Wulong, what about you? Puer asked. Oh, I forget it. Bulma, can I go to the city with you? I heard there are a lot of girls in big cities. Wulong looked at Bulma and said. Well, even though you are lecherous and annoying. If you don't want me to go, just tell me. Just like that, after everyone decided on their own future, they went their separate ways. Lin Chen took Bulma and Wulong and left the scene first using instant transmission. Looking at the three people who disappeared, Goku couldn't help but say, brother Lin Chen's move was really powerful. I didn't even see how he left. Yet. Yamcha also sighed, there really are many powerful people in the world. In Zidu, after saying goodbye to Son Goku and the others, Lin Chen and his group arrived at Bulma's home via instant transmission. Here, Lin Chen also met Tai's and Dr. Brief's family whom he had not seen for a long time. After 6 years, Tai's has become more mature and more feminine. Compared to Saiyan, 6 years was also a difficult time for Taisai, an earthling. Therefore, after seeing Lin Chen, she couldn't help but burst into tears. Looking at Taisai, Lin Chen felt sorry, hugged her, and said seriously, Taisai, we have known each other for so many years, marry me. Taisai hummed in a voice as soft as a mosquito's hum. She had been waiting for Lin Chen to say this for a long time. Ah! Beside her, Bulma's eyes widened in astonishment, why so fast? Bulma, what are you talking about? Tai's has been waiting for so many years. Mrs. Brief blamed. But Bulma stomped her feet hard and went back to her room angrily. Dear, Bulma. Tai stared at her sisters leaving back and wanted to explain. But Lin Chen waved his hand and said, it's okay, I know what she thinks. And you? Taisai knew that Lin Chen already had a Saiyan princess, so she didn't mind sharing her husband with her sister. But Lin Chen shook his head and said, don't say anything. I just treat Bulma as a sister. In the future, she will meet the right person. A month later, in Zidu, Lin Chen and Taisai's wedding was held. This wedding was very grand. After all, Lin Chen was the king of Saiyan. Although the wedding was held on Earth, Vegeta still prepared many wedding gifts for Lin Chen, including rare gems collected from various planets. In addition, Burdock and others who were on Lin Chen's side were also present. Hanasia also came and taught Tais the rules of the Saiyan royal family. On Tai's side, many of her friends also came, including Jack and others. It was a pity that Dr. Dashan, who invented the first time machine, had passed away at that time. The wedding lasted for a day. At night, Lin Chen carried Tais into the bridal chamber. The wedding house is also in Zidu, not far from Dr. Brief's house. After Lin Chen decided to marry Tais, he bought it directly with a diamond as big as a fist. Before the wedding, the entire villa was renovated. When Lin Chen and Taisai were finally alone, he took out the pot of water from the fountain of youth. Tais, take a sip of this. Although Tais was surprised, she didn't ask any more questions and just took a sip. After drinking it, she asked, "What is this? It tastes weird, is it poison?" "This is the fountain of youth I got after making a wish to Shenron. Drinking it can extend your life by hundreds of years. As a Saiyan, I often have to go in and out of the universe. After you drink this, Taisai, you don't have to worry about getting old." "Why should I be worried?" Tais smiled embarrassedly. But in fact, deep down in her heart, she was very happy. There is no woman who does not wish to be forever young and immortal. "Tais, we should rest." After being happy, Lin Chen hugged Taisai's smooth body and whispered in her ear. The lights in the room dimmed immediately. Chapter 71. After the wedding, Lin Chen and Tais started their honeymoon trip. As the wife of the king of Saiyan, Lin Chen's honeymoon trip to Tais must naturally be extraordinary. The two of them have visited almost every planet under Saiyan's control. During this period, Lin Chen also had a rare moment to relax and rest. After his rebirth, for the first time he did not spend his time on cultivation, but instead enjoyed life. But a happy life is always short-lived. As the king of Saiyan, Lin Chen doesn't have much time to relax. After the honeymoon, Lin Chen prepared to start practicing again. It is worth mentioning that after her honeymoon, Tais did not return to Earth, but went to Yadrit. After knowing that Lin Chen could learn instant transmission from the people of Yadrit, Tais planned to go to Yadrit to learn instant transmission. After all, Lin Chen spends most of his time on Vegeta, and Tais doesn't want to always wait passively for Lin Chen to return to Earth, so she proposed the idea of going to Yadrit. And don't forget that Tais's main job is to be a novelist. For a novelist, what ability could be more useful than instant transmission, which allows one to go wherever one wants? In terms of combat power, after Lin Chen used the potential development technique, Tai's combat power reached more than 10,000. Therefore, Lin Chen was not worried about her safety and directly sent Tais over. The Yadrit people are a peace-loving people. They are hospitable and hate fighting. They easily agreed to Tai's request. After confirming that Tais had started practicing, Lin Chen left the planet Yadrit and prepared to start busying himself with his own affairs. For Lin Chen at the moment, the most important thing is naturally to use the reward he got after traveling through time and space last time. A trial card for the legendary Super Saiyan 2. Host, Lin Chen Combat Power, 6.68 million Bloodline, Legend of Super Saiyan Bloodline Skills, Instant Transmission, Primary Martial Arts Genius Talent, Primary Potential Development Technique, Perfect Control of Chi Moves, Planet Destroyer Bomb, Death Beam, Fire Wave, Kamehameha, After Image Fist, Instant Kamehameha. Since traveling through time and space, Lin Chen's combat effectiveness has improved by leaps and bounds. Normally, after the combat power exceeds 1 million, the speed of cultivation will be greatly reduced, but relying on the rewards from the system, Lin Chen's normal combat power has almost increased 5-fold. Coupled with the 50-fold combat effectiveness increase of the super form, Lin Chen's combat effectiveness has increased by more than 5 times compared to the past. 300 million combat power. After transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan, Lin Chen's combat power not only exceeded 100 million, but exceeded 300 million. This number, based on Lin Chen's speculation about the fighting power of Son Goku and others in another time and space, may even be more powerful than Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 form. However, there is no end, and there are still many powerful enemies in this world, so Lin Chen cannot stand still. In addition to continuing to hone himself and improve his strength, Lin Chen's next attempt is to achieve a further transformation. Ordinary Super Saiyan, in addition to the first form, also has Super Saiyan 2 and 3 forms. Although Lin Chen's legendary Super Saiyan is different from ordinary Super Saiyan, he should also have corresponding further transformations. However, this kind of transformation has never been described even in the original book, so Lin Chen was also confused. Therefore, the Super Legend 2 experience card he obtained through the mission this time is extremely precious to Lin Chen. Although it can only be experienced for 1 hour, it is enough to show Lin Chen a way to become stronger. That day, Lin Chen instant transmission arrived at a strange and desolate ice planet. Although it seems that there is nothing here, Lin Chen found that there is a secret base of universe pirates under the ice field. Lin Chen learned about this place after he went to the headquarters of the Galactic Patrol and received a mission to wipe out the universe pirates. He accepted this mission in order to experience the power of Super 2. Otherwise, how could he fully experience the power of Super 2 if he just transformed but didn't fight? System: use the Transcendence 2 experience card. After making preparations, Lin Chen began to use the experience card in the system space. When he finished speaking, Lin Chen's aura suddenly began to surge uncontrollably. It was as if a switch had been flipped inside him, causing him to unconsciously transform into the legendary Super Saiyan form. 10 million. 50 million. 100 million. 200 million. 300 million. Not long after, Lin Chen's combat power exceeded 300 million, and it was still rising. As Lin Chen's aura exploded, the ice planet beneath his feet began to shake violently. The extremely terrifying energy aura caused a shrill alarm to sound in the pirate base deep in the planet. What's going on? Are there any enemies attacking us? Monitoring room. What's going on? Inside the base, a universe pirate leader who looked like a shark shouted. But he soon heard a horrified cry from the monitoring room. Boss, the energy detector exploded. There is an energy source outside that exceeds the energy limit. What? Guys! Go out and see who is causing trouble here. Immediately, the universe pirates, whose combat strength ranged from thousands to tens of thousands, flew out from the secret entrance of the base one after another. At this time, Lin Chen outside was extremely surprised. After becoming the legendary Super Saiyan, he actually felt that his power was still increasing. 350 million. 400 million. 500 million. 600 million. When Lin Chen saw through the system that his combat power finally stopped at 660 million, this sudden increase in strength finally stopped. The yellow-green flame that originally surrounded Lin Chen's body was like boiling oil and water, churning violently, and finally suddenly turned into a jet. The yellow-green hair that was originally standing upside down has also become a little longer than before. The most exaggerated changes were the sparkling yellow-green arcs of electricity around Lin Chen and the aura surrounding him. There was a crackling sound and the noise kept exploding. Host, Lin Chen. Combat power, 668 million. Is this the form of the legendary Super Saiyan 2? Lin Chen could clearly feel that the strength of his body actually made him feel overflowing. The power that continuously emerges cannot wait to be released. Just at this moment, a wave of ki blast like a storm flew towards Lin Chen from below. Those were the universe pirates that flew out of the secret base and were attacking Lin Chen. At this time, the gap in strength between Lin Chen and these universe pirates had completely exceeded their understanding. Just like ants have no idea how powerful humans are, although these pirates can feel the amazing aura emanating from Lin Chen, they can no longer tell the gap between themselves and Lin Chen from this aura. Ignorance is fearlessness, so these universe pirates launched the attack without hesitation. Chapter 72. The ki blast flew over like raindrops, but before it got close to Lin Chen, it was broken up by the electric arcs on the surface of his body. Lin Chen glanced at these people, a cruel smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then he slowly raised his right hand. The blizzard that had been blowing continuously on the planet suddenly stopped at this moment. The next moment, a green ball of light suddenly appeared in Lin Chen's hand. Astonishing energy was condensed in this ball of light. Because the energy was so high, it produced an effect like a black hole, sucking all the surrounding matter into the ball of light. Die! Lin Chen gently threw the energy ball towards the group of universe pirates, and the energy ball slowly floated towards the group. But in an instant, the energy ball suddenly became huge, and the dazzling light made the group of universe pirates open their mouths wide. Although they didn't know how terrifying Lin Chen was before, when they saw the energy ball that could almost destroy the planet, all the universe pirates immediately understood how terrifying the person in front of them was. But by this time, it was too late. The terrifying energy ball directly engulfed these universe pirates, fell all the way down, and finally drilled deep into the planet. A moment later, a bright light shone from the gap created by the energy ball, and the entire interior of the planet was filled with light like fireworks penetrating the Earth. One after another, the universe spaceships hurriedly emerged from under the ice field, trying to escape the planet, but were swallowed up by the lava ejected from the ground halfway. Not long after, this ice planet completely collapsed with a loud rumbling sound and turned into powder. In the afterglow of the planet's destruction, Lin Chen's figure appeared in the universe. He looked at everything indifferently, and suddenly burst into laughter. But at this moment, Lin Chen's laughter suddenly stopped. Just like waking up from a dream, Lin Chen was covered in cold sweat, as if he had just woken up from a nightmare. Is this what I did? Looking at the destroyed planet, Lin Chen kept breathing heavily. Did I just destroy a planet? And such an action actually made him feel happy? What's going on? Lin Chen thought about it and suddenly felt a little scared. He guessed that he might have just fallen into a short period of rampage. However, hasn't his own super bloodline already been transformed? Why did it almost go berserk? When Lin Chen asked the system in his mind, the system replied, "Ding. The energy of the legendary Super Saiyan 2 is too huge and has exceeded the control range of bloodline transformation. The host needs to improve his spiritual power in order to effectively control the power." Mental power? Hearing this, Lin Chen immediately took out the last few spirit tree fruits that he had treasured from the system space and swallowed them without hesitation. As the fruit of the spirit tree entered Lin Chen's body, streams of pure spiritual power were continuously absorbed and refined by Lin Chen. Gradually, Lin Chen's mind completely calmed down. But Lin Chen could feel that as the amount of spirit tree fruit he ate increased, the boost in his spiritual power was beginning to become less noticeable. It seems that in the end, I still have to cultivate my spiritual power. Just 1 hour passed quickly. Lin Chen was suspended in the universe space, feeling the loss of the power of the Super 2 form while silently summarizing this brief experience. Combining his own rampage this time, Lin Chen can basically confirm that the rampage phenomenon of the legendary Super Saiyan is a manifestation of the fact that the individual's mental strength is weaker than the physical strength. Compared to ordinary Super Saiyan transformations, the energy of the legendary Super Saiyan is so huge that the minds of those with legendary Super Saiyan bloodlines become unable to control this energy. For example, Broly and Kale from the 6th universe both went berserk after their transformations because of insufficient mental strength. Later, it became obvious why Kale from Universe 6 was able to stay lucid after she fused with Caulifla and transformed into Kefla. Because Kefla at that time had the spiritual power of 2 people, she was able to control the energy of the super form. As for Lin Chen, although his legendary Super Saiyan bloodline is perfect, he cannot avoid going berserk. When he reached Super Saiyan 1, he could still control himself easily due to the change in his bloodline, but when he reached Super Saiyan 2, his mind began to become uncontrollable. Just now, Lin Chen became as brutal as Broly because of the runaway power. It seems that my next goal should be to train and strengthen my mental strength. As for Super 2, as long as my mental strength is reached, I can break through at any time. The experience of just 1 hour was not just an illusion, Lin Chen had already remembered that feeling. He was confident that as long as he possessed sufficient mental strength, he would be able to successfully break through to the Super 2 state. From this day on, Lin Chen began a new round of cultivation. In a blink of an eye, several months passed. Lin Chen was still practicing, and Tais, who had gone to the planet Ydrit, had not returned yet. It was almost the middle of the 750th year of the AI, and as far as Goku could remember, the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament, which was his first time participating, was about to begin. How could Lin Chen be absent from such an interesting event? Just when he made an appointment with the Burdocks and wanted to go to Earth on that day to see Son Goku's growth, he didn't expect that an accident forced Lin Chen to interrupt his trip to Earth. Hannah is hurt again. Lin Chen was shocked when he heard Paragus report. Paragus said, "I'm sorry, Your Majesty, you misunderstood. The princess is not injured, but according to the news we just received, the princess may be pregnant." Pregnant? Lin Chen was stunned for a moment, his face showing an expression that was even more surprised than when he learned that Hanasha might be injured. At his urging, Paragus hurriedly explained the situation. According to Paragus, Hanasia had an accident while performing a mission. This time, Hanasia is leading an expedition to participate in a mission to protect the planet. The mission was commissioned by the Galactic Patrol Organization, and the difficulty of the mission was set to the highest level. Because the opponent of this mission is King Cooler, who was listed as one of the two most dangerous figures by the Galactic Patrol after Frieza's death, and is also Frieza's biological brother. A planet called Ifrit has recently been listed as a target for conquest by the Cooler Legion. Ifrit is a civilized planet with a long history, extremely advanced technology, and is said to have the most complete library database in the entire universe. After learning the news, they immediately sought emergency help from the Galactic Patrol. Saiyan became the support force of the Galactic Patrol and was urgently dispatched to the local area. Hanasia was in the middle of an accident when she arrived at the scene and started fighting. Chapter 73. Ifrit is a fiery red planet. Now, the occasional artillery fire and energy fluctuations on the planet make the red color of the planet look even deeper. At this time, a large universe spaceship often used by the Galactic Patrol flew over the planet. However, unlike the common Galactic Patrol spaceships, there was no Galactic Patrol logo on this spaceship, but instead there was a Saiyan logo. And this spaceship is none other than the Saiyan Special Forces led by Saiyan Princess Hanasia herself. The people operating this spaceship are not Saiyan, but some universe pilots sent by the Galactic Patrol to support Saiyan. As the spaceship began to enter the atmosphere, one of them said, "Princess Hana, the planet below is Ifrit. We have detected that Cooler's spaceship is parked above the capital of Ifrit. Then let's go down and deal with them directly. Prepare to open the hatch." Hanasia ordered. But at this time, the pilot said, "Wait a minute, Princess. The Ifrit people just sent a request that their evacuation convoy is under attack. Please rescue them first." "What? I want to fight Cooler." Hana complained, but then said, "Okay, take us there first." At this time, under the ground, artillery fire roared and smoke filled the sky. An Ifrit refugee convoy escaping from the capital is being toyed with by a group of Cooler Legion soldiers. Ifrits are a subhuman species, with a similar build to Saiyans, but with red hair and pointy ears. The Ifrit do not have the natural fighting ability like the Saiyan, but they are a race with a long history and many high-tech technologies. These technologies allowed the Ifrit to develop individual weapons and equipment similar to Iron Man. With these equipment, ordinary Ifrits could also possess a combat power of over 10,000 points. Therefore, in the universe, the Ifrit are not a people to be trifled with. But right now, the situation on the planet is somewhat one-sided. The technological equipment that makes the Ifrit people so proud can only play a tickling role in front of their enemies. Because this time, the enemy that the Ifrits faced was the famous Cooler Legion in the universe. Compared to the past Frieza Corps, which focused on numbers and mainly relied on a large number of miscellaneous soldiers and a few elite soldiers, the Cooler Corps has a small number of people, but each one is an elite. The lowest level warriors have a combat effectiveness of more than 10,000. The Cooler Corps' most elite mecha unit, although it only has 3 members, each of them has a combat power of over 100,000. He is notorious in the universe. Therefore, the gap between the Ifrit people and their opponents on the battlefield was so huge that they had almost no ability to fight back. From time to time, you can see the armored Ifrits disappear under the opponent's energy waves. Just as the Ifrit people in the convoy were watching with great grief and anger the soldiers who were protecting them falling one by one, they suddenly saw a group of black-haired human warriors with long tails flying in the sky. "Hey!" A member of the Cooler Corps noticed the unidentified troops flying in the sky, and immediately notified his companions while turning on the combat effectiveness detector next to his ear to check the other side. "Lords of Iza, it seems that reinforcements from the Ifrit have arrived. Their fighting power is..." Before the universe man could finish his words, his combat power detector suddenly exploded. Soon after, the combat detectors of other universe people also exploded because they could not withstand the energy. Upon receiving the news, Captain Zaviza, who was commanding the battle in the rear, could not help but fly into the sky. But then, he was shocked to find that the attackers were not Ifrits at all, but Saiyans. "Idiot! The Saiyan is here. Ignore those Ifrits and prepare to fight." Even the famous mecha troops did not dare to be careless when they saw Saiyan. After all, the predicament of Frieza's army over the past 6 years has shown everyone how powerful Saiyan is. And in the past, the Cooler Corps has also had contact with Saiyan. But after several battles, Cooler's army basically ended in defeat. Frieza had fought with Saiyan before, especially a Saiyan with scars on his face. Frieza will never forget that encounter because he almost died at the hands of the other party. Master Cooler. Saiyan is here. As Frieza finished his words, the Saiyans had already rushed into the battlefield. The soldiers of the Cooler Legion, who had just suppressed the Ifrit people, immediately felt the grievances that the Ifrit people had suffered before. Faced with the Saiyan warriors rushing towards them, most of these people were no match for the enemy. Especially the female leader, Saiyan, who was unstoppable and killed anyone who stood in her way. The female Saiyan waved her arms lightly, and countless energy balls as dense as drizzle were poured out all over the sky. All the universe people who were hit were turned into sieves by these energy balls. The Cooler Corps, which was originally small in number, was suddenly in danger. But at this moment, a purple shadow flew into the sky. The fighting power displayed by the opponent made Saiyan, who was in the middle of a fierce battle, stop. Different from the combat power detectors equipped by the Cooler Corps, the ones used by these Saiyans were from Earth, so they could clearly confirm the terrifying combat power contained in that purple figure. Combat power, 16 million. Princess Hannah. It's the frozen demon. I've seen it. The leader Hanasia's eyes gradually became solemn. Although the figure opposite was purple in color, completely different from Frieza, who was mainly white, the other party's appearance and long tail looked almost exactly the same as Frieza's final form. Without asking any questions, Hanasia knew that the other party should be the leader of the Cooler Corps, Frieza's elder brother, Cooler. Everyone get out of the way, let me handle him. Hanasia said, and immediately transformed into a Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan. Looking at the golden figure standing not far away, a hint of anger flashed in Cooler's eyes. These damn Saiyan monkeys. You'll meet them wherever you go. Do you want to take action? Bang. The tail behind Cooler slapped the air, making a loud bang. But he did not take action immediately, instead he was in a stalemate with Hanasia. The tense atmosphere suddenly made the atmosphere on the scene depressing. Some Saiyans began to talk. Is that Cooler? What terrifying power! Even more powerful than Frieza. Don't panic, our Princess Hannah now has a combat power of 18 million. That's right. Frieza is dead, so what does Cooler matter? Chapter 74. Isn't the female Super Saiyan the one who killed Frieza? Cooler licked his lips, his eyes dark and scary. Ever since he learned that Frieza died at the hands of a Super Saiyan, Cooler has been looking for ways to become stronger. Unlike Frieza, Cooler is a cautious person and will not take the initiative to provoke a Super Saiyan unless he is absolutely sure. Because of this, in the 6 years that Lin Chen traveled to the parallel universe, the Cooler Corps maintained a defensive strategy. But as expected, simply avoiding it won't work. Cooler clenched his fists and whispered, before I have enough strength to deal with that Super Saiyan, I will kill you first. The bloodthirsty murderous intent emerged in an instant. Hey? Are you going to take action? Hanasia sensed Cooler's murderous intent and immediately started laughing. Ever since she had the ability to transform into a Super Saiyan, she had never been afraid of anyone except Lin Chen in a fight. Even the frozen demon is like this. Tap, tap, tap. Suddenly, drizzle began to fall from the sky. Just as the raindrops fell on the two men, these two powerful men, each with a combat power of over 10 million, suddenly moved. Bang bang bang. The two bodies rushed forward madly and collided in mid-air. For a while, the sound of fists and feet hitting each other was endless. The blurry figures kept flying, sweeping the sky like a whirlwind. The warriors on Cooler's side could no longer keep up with the movements of the two men and could only hear continuous BG sounds in their ears. On the Saiyan side, although their eyes were beginning to lag behind, many people closed their eyes at this time and began to use their chi to sense the movements of the two. The perception of chi. Since Lin Chen received the mission reward, he handed over the universal teaching materials on the perception of chi to Vegeta Star and began to promote and disseminate them throughout the planet. Although the promotion time is still short, many soldiers who often go out to fight have already mastered it. Relying on the perception of chi, they were barely able to keep up with the fighting speed of Hanasia and the other person. Damn it! Damn Saiyan! Why? Aren't the frozen demons the strongest race in the universe? Why can't I beat this Saiyan? Cooler's teeth were almost broken. Ever since he saw his brother's tragic death, he has been practicing himself, but even so, he still couldn't open up the gap with Saiyan. And the one competing against Cooler right now is just a female Super Saiyan. But he heard that the one who killed Frieza was the Saiyan King, and he is the strongest Super Saiyan. The female Super Saiyan in front of me is only ranked second. I have been training hard for 6 years, is it possible that I can't even beat the second-ranked Super Saiyan? Bang! Cooler was suddenly hit in the stomach with such great force that he almost vomited blood. But what was more difficult for Cooler to accept than the pain was the immense humiliation and anger. I'm Cooler. I'm the king of the universe. How could I lose to a woman like you? Seeing Han-Asia coming up to chase him, Cooler suddenly twitched his tail and swung it towards Han-Asia's face unexpectedly. This attack was originally just an angry one from Cooler, and he didn't expect it to have any effect. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Han-Asia's movements were suddenly a beat slower and she was hit directly. Suddenly, Hannah flew out like a cannonball and soon turned into a black dot in the sky. Cooler was stunned for a moment. How could what he did just now be, not right? On the Saiyan side, everyone was also dumbfounded. How could Princess Han-Asia be hit suddenly? At this moment, 2 Saiyans suddenly whispered, "Hey, did you feel it?" "What? Princess Hannah's energy has weakened." "Ah? How is that possible?" In fact, it wasn't just these 2 people. Other Saiyans who had learned to sense chi also discovered that Princess Hannah's chi seemed to have suddenly weakened. Some people didn't believe it, so they picked up the combat power detector and took a look. Sure enough, they found that Han-Asia's combat power was actually decreasing. What's going on? Han-Asia was equally puzzled. She had just warmed up, so how come she felt so exhausted? It must be an illusion. Han-Asia raised her aura again and rushed back towards Cooler, and the fight between the 2 began again. After fighting for a while, Cooler took the opportunity to dodge and kicked Han-Asia in the chest again. Although Han-Asia crossed her hands across her chest and caught the kick, she was unable to absorb the force of the kick and was kicked far away again. "Princess Hannah, are you okay?" Someone immediately asked on the communicator. Han-Asia finally managed to stop herself, panting even more than before. "Why? I'm losing my energy." Han-Asia was very confused, and at the same time, one of her hands unconsciously touched her belly. Seeing Han-Asia's actions, a female Saiyan's eyes suddenly lit up, and she lowered her voice to Han-Asia on the communicator, "Princess. Let's retreat first. Your body may have changed." "What? What's wrong with my body?" "Princess, you might be pregnant." Hearing the conversation on the communicator, the other Saiyans were stunned. Pregnant? Many people suddenly realized the truth. For female Saiyan, once they become pregnant, their fighting power will inevitably weaken. No wonder Han-Asia's fighting power suddenly began to decrease. Seeing this, the Saiyans immediately surrounded Han-Asia, protecting her safety while quickly evacuating the scene. Anyway, by this time, the Ifrit refugee convoy had already left, and they had no reason to stay here and fight to the death. Seeing Saiyan suddenly retreat, Cooler's men returned to Cooler's side. Frieza asked, "Sir, congratulations. You defeated that Super Saiyan." "Stupid. Can't you see they retreated on their own?" "Sorry." Cooler cursed, turning his head to look in the direction of Saiyan's retreat again, with doubt in his heart. It's strange, why did the strength of the female Super Saiyan suddenly become weaker? Is there some conspiracy? Cooler looked hesitant, not sure what the situation was. He wanted to catch up and kill the female Saiyan to clear the obstacles for his future all-out war with Saiyan, but he was afraid that this was a conspiracy by the other party. Cooler stared at the direction where Saiyan was going for a while, and finally clenched his fists. Frieza. Check to see if the Ifrit database has been moved away. Once the mission is completed, immediately drive the spacecraft away from this planet and wait for me in outer space. Master Cooler, what are you doing? I'm going to take care of those Saiyans. Chapter 75. You all let me go, I'm not done fighting yet. Princess, please return to the spaceship immediately. We need to examine you. On the other side, although Han-Asia was very reluctant, she was still forcibly taken back to the universe spaceship by a group of Saiyans. In fact, halfway through the flight, Han-Asia could no longer transform into a Super Saiyan, and her combat power plummeted to 500,000. At the same time, on the way back to the spaceship, the other Saiyans also quickly informed Vegeta of the situation on the planet. Now that Han-Asia can't become a Super Saiyan, the only one who can deal with Cooler is Lin Chen. After returning to the spaceship, Han-Asia was immediately pushed into the medical room. There were medical equipment of the Galactic Patrol on the spaceship, which could immediately conduct a full-body examination on Han Asia. But it was soon discovered that Han Asia was not pregnant, but had food poisoning. What? Food poisoning? When Han Asia heard the news, she was so angry that she almost dismantled the machine, but she immediately lay on the medical equipment due to severe pain. I'm a Super Saiyan, how could I be poisoned? Han Asia said weakly. Princess Hannah, did you eat something secretly today? Asked the universe person who was in charge of medical care. Han Asia thought about it, but immediately thought of something. I think I ate some fruit from Kyojia today. Bang! Everyone at the scene fell down. Han Asia looked at them strangely and asked, what's wrong with you? A female Saiyan jumped up and said, Your Highness. Kyojia is from the planet Bal. Their planet is a heavily polluted planet. So the food on that planet is rich in super heavy metal pollutants. The digestive system of the Bal people is already accustomed to those things, so Kyojia will be fine after eating them, but creatures from other planets will definitely die if they eat them. Your Highness, you just have a stomachache. I'm afraid it's because you're a Super Saiyan. Ah? I was wondering why that fruit tasted so bad. After knowing that Han Asia was not pregnant but just had food poisoning, Saiyan on the spaceship felt relieved but also a little disappointed. After all, ever since Lin Chen led Saiyan to begin a new development like a phoenix nirvana, the issue of Lin Chen's offspring has become a topic of concern for many Saiyan. If the princess was really pregnant, it would be a happy event worthy of celebration for all Saiyans. At this moment, an alarm suddenly sounded on the spacecraft. Oh no! It's Cooler. No, the princess can't fight now, we have to protect her. I'm sorry to the Ifrit people, but we have no choice but to retreat. After weighing the pros and cons, Saiyan decided to retreat, and the only few Saiyan on the spaceship whose combat power exceeded 500,000 also decided to stay and delay time for the retreat of the spaceship. Outside the spaceship, Cooler was floating in front of the spaceship. Seeing that the female Saiyan had disappeared, a hint of coldness appeared on the corner of his mouth. He had previously suspected that something special might have happened to the female Saiyan, and now it seems to be true, otherwise why wouldn't she come out? Taking a deep breath, Cooler yelled, That woman! Get out now! Our fight isn't over yet! The rumbling sound made the air vibrate. A moment later, the hatch of the Saiyan spacecraft opened, and Cooler thought the woman came out. But he didn't expect that what appeared in front of him were a few ordinary Saiyans who were like ants in his eyes. Hey! Did something happen to that female Saiyan? Cooler! Your opponent is us. In order to cover the evacuation of the spacecraft, these Saiyans burst out with all their strength as soon as they appeared, and launched a torrential ki blast at Cooler. But these ki blasts are just like tickling in front of Cooler. Cooler saw that these people were like clowns, daring to attack him, and saw that the Saiyan's large spaceship was turning around and trying to leave. He was more convinced that something must have happened to the female Saiyan. Otherwise, with Saiyan's personality, how could he escape without a fight? I'll kill you while you're sick. Cooler doesn't care what happened to the other party, as long as there is a chance to attack Saiyan, he will not let it go. Supernova! Cooler smiled cruelly, pointed his finger, and a huge fireball containing huge energy leaped up and appeared above his head. Then, the fireball rushed towards the Saiyans and the spaceship behind them. Seeing the huge fireball slowly approaching, the Saiyans who had originally planned to delay for some time suddenly became desperate. The ki blast they fired had no effect on the fireball and was completely engulfed by it. The Universe spacecraft, which had already turned around, was unable to start accelerating at this time and could only watch the huge fireball approaching little by little. Cooler laughed as he saw the end of Saiyan approaching. Killing these Saiyans today was only a prelude to his future destruction of Planet Vegeta. But at this moment, just in front of the huge fireball, a figure suddenly appeared. Feeling the approaching fireball, the figure turned his head and looked with a stern look in his eyes. The next moment, a huge yellow-green aura erupted like a volcano. In the distance, Cooler saw a figure suddenly appear, and his eyes froze for a moment. Then he turned around and ran away without hesitation, without even looking at what happened to the fireball behind him. I have to say that Cooler's response was extremely wise. Because just when he was trying his best to escape, the figure who had just appeared had already spread out his 5 fingers, and suddenly exerted force with both palms, and actually blocked the huge fireball. Ha! The figure then raised his foot again and kicked the energy fireball that could destroy the planet into the sky like a rubber ball in an instant. Boom! A moment later, the fireball exploded in outer space, changing the color of the sky and earth of Ifrit. When the dense energy disappeared, the figure turned around and asked Saiyan, who was standing there in a daze, "Where's Hannah?" "Your Majesty Lynx." Several Saiyan warriors came to their senses, their eyes filled with tears, and they were about to kneel down in front of Lin Chen in the air. "Okay, let's not waste time, where's Hannah?" "The princess is on the spaceship." "Everything is fine," a Saiyan replied. Lin Chen breathed a sigh of relief, then asked, "Is she really pregnant?" "No." Hearing this, several Saiyans all smiled bitterly. "Your Majesty, Princess Hannah is not pregnant, she just has a stomachache." Stomach upset. Lin Chen was speechless for a moment, not knowing whether he was relieved or disappointed. "You guys go back and take care of the princess. I'll complete the mission this time." After saying that, Lin Chen turned around and looked in the direction where Cooler escaped. "I had originally planned to watch the world's #1 martial arts tournament, but now I was forced to come here. I couldn't vent my anger on Hanashaya, so I had to let Cooler down. Anyway, it would be best if all the frozen demons were dead." The next second, Lin Chen chased after Cooler. At the same time, Cooler was speeding all the way, using almost 100% of his strength, flying back to his universe spaceship. No doubt about it. It was that guy. That guy killed Frieza. When Lin Chen appeared just now, Cooler recognized him immediately. After not seeing him for a few years, that Super Saiyan has indeed become stronger. Even with just a quick glance, Cooler could feel the enormous power contained in the other person. I am the Emperor of the Universe, Cooler. Why? Why am I so scared? Unforgivable, unforgivable. At this moment, Cooler suddenly heard a sound of breaking air behind him. He turned around and was almost frightened to death. Behind him, Lin Chen was like a golden devil, constantly closing the distance with Cooler. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.